microbes or something in it.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. But what were you gonna say?
I kind of experimented with this biological media called K1. It looks like I went to this Nelson and Pay workshop a couple years back, and they were just calling it pasta. I'm like, that's not pasta, that's K1. But anyway, it's basically it's semi-buoyant.
Mm-hmm.
So like when it's loaded with bacteria, it floats to the top, and when it's loaded with bacteria, it will sink.
Yep.
And then it just constantly rubs up against each other, so it's always maintaining a healthy colony of bacteria.
Cool.
Yeah, they use it a lot in recirculating aquaculture.
I was gonna say there's probably some use there in even aquariums and stuff for keeping the balance and everything in check. That's cool.
You can actually make one with like a 2-liter bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You just fill it like halfway full, and you just have a little bubbler and it's kind of it looks cool. It kind of like goes up and down. And,
cool.
But yeah, it works really well.
All these little things, man. Aquaponics, I think, is on the rise, and I think it's cool to see that the greenhouse isn't totally kiboshing their whole operation there, and they're starting to get things going again.
Yeah.
The what was it? The Nelson and Page.
That isn't. Yeah.
Lumago, right?
Yeah, it's a loose Nelson and Page system.
Yeah. Pretty neat. Your third year. Well, fuck. I met you my first year working in. During the strike, I got employed at the Niagara College greenhouse just to make some money and kind of, supplement some of that practical education that we were missing out on. And you were working there part-time as well.
Yeah.
Got talking about podcasts and stuff. And then a couple weeks ago, we just got back from the BeWorldReady Dominican Republic trip through Niagara College. So it was pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, it was really sweet. I enjoyed it a lot.
All right, I'm just going to open her up here really quick. Welcome back to Cancast, Canada's cannabis podcast. I'm Craig Baird. I'm joined today with my friend Michael Funston and roommate Sydney Gunn. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We were just talking about how I met Michael last year working at the greenhouse on campus, and now a couple weeks ago we just got back from the BeWorldReady Dominican Republic trip through the college, and what a time that was.
Oh yeah, it was really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was cultural experience for sure. I've been Dominican Republic before, but done the resort thing, right? And that's basically the same.
Yeah, totally different.
You went?
I've been to, is it Puerto Plata? What's way up north there?
Yeah, I think it's Puerto Plata.
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually haven't been to the resort. I went to the resort part in Cuba, but never. That was my first experience. Excuse me. Experiencing that.
These resort owners, it's not just like they'll own resorts in Dominican. There could be, what was it, the Rio or Bahia Principe and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They own places in like Mexico, Cuba, Dominican Republic. So you go to one, they're all going to be modeled basically how much of a hotel can they manufacture for this much money. They're going to do the same thing in every country, right? Most bang for their buck. So when you're talking about resorts and stuff, for the most part, you go to one, you've seen most of them, right?
Yeah, they're all kind of the same.
It's mostly based on how much money you want to throw down, right?
Yeah, with all the kind of creature comforts you would expect.
Yeah.
In like
the all-inclusive goes without saying, but then you can get the
that.
VIP and all that.
I love resorts.
That being said, Dominican Republic, and we just got a little bit money back.
Yeah.
So it was originally it was going to be $1,250, right? And then there was going to be a $450 grant or whatever. And then it turns out that after all the deductions and all the finances of the trip, we're getting $200 back. And now that we're creeping up to Christmas, today is November 16th, Friday, November 16th, yeah? Something like that. We're creeping up to Christmas. That $200 can go a long way, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the trip. Yeah, no, it was just a real eye-opening cultural experience, seeing the difference in Western culture to, just how little some people have, and they make the most out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were really great people, really great culture, but yeah, they didn't have a lot, but they made the most of what they had.
Yeah.
Need more people like that in the first world countries.
Well, it's true. That's the thing with the first world countries. Everybody's chasing the almighty dollar. It's clear in the cannabis industry right now where there's a lot more profit going around people's minds than the real passion that I've been preaching for the last little bit. How many P alliterations can I get in there? Passion, profit, preaching.
The 3 Ps.
The 3 Ps. Got to preach it. But, it's just like Julia. Is it Julia or Julia, for example? Starting out from basically nothing. Now she's running like the first all-female coffee plantation down there. Like, that's crazy, man. Considering, like, we complain you guys complain about equality here, but if you look
Yeah.
if you look on other parts of the world, like
Yeah, God.
getting paid like what 5 pesos a day
Yeah.
for
it's
doing
pretty
sit
bad.
down work because they don't think the women can like manage to do the full.
Yeah, and that's like
It's
Julia made
weird,
a
it's
big.
super
Yeah,
weird,
Julia's like,
yeah.
yeah, we did both jobs
Mhm.
without too much problem. So.
Okay, before we get into that too far, we went to the greenhouse, talked about that. You're a third-year student. Now, the program at Niagara College, Horticulture, Greenhouse, Landscape, based on a 2-year program. Your first year, everybody's kind of melded together. And then second year, you were second year when I met you in first year.
Yeah.
Second year, you kind of choose your concentration, and then you
Yep.
graduate, right? So you graduated, now you're coming back. You graduated as a horticulture student, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now you've come back for the greenhouse. Little did I know, me talking to Mike for the last couple of weeks about what projects we have doing classes and if he can help me out and
Yeah.
stuff. Mike's not even in all my classes because he's already graduated, Craig. So he doesn't have to do the bullshit communication class or what was the other one, pathology and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Did you have, I guess you would have had communication and pathology
Oh yeah.
last
yeah,
year?
communication.
He's
Yeah.
like,
Who
I'm
was your
gonna
teacher
get
for
this
that?
Bullshit.
For communication.
Yeah.
Oh, I had two. I had Tim
Okay.
Posey,
Mhm.
and then I had. Oh, I don't remember the other one. He was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I was just curious if you had Tim.
Yeah, I had Tim,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fine. We'll leave it at that.
and I think I had Kelly for pathology.
Yeah, we
Kelly.
have Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly
Byron?
Byer.
Yeah. Byer.
Yeah. Who did you have for IPM?
IPM. Wayne, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wayne, really?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
We have Graham.
Yeah, we have Graham. I don't know
Yeah.
if he's.
Oh, for greenhouse IPM, I have Graham.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
We had a kind of IPM for Hort too,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
and then
So you
So
are in our
Gra-
you
so
are
he's
in
our
Graham's class
IPM.
with us.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
where I keep
Oh,
seeing you.
man.
Okay, I keep getting so mixed up, man.
Yeah. It's
That's
hard
all
to
good.
keep track.
So third year, you had a job at Peace Naturals over the summer though, and decided
Yeah.
to come back. Are you like? Would you go back to Peace? Were you happy with them? Why?
I am gonna probably explore my options. I was
Mhm.
really happy with the people I worked with, but unfortunately, it sounds like a lot of the people I used to work with have kind of moved on.
Mm.
So,
You want
but
to
I really
start
liked what they were
fresh.
doing. They were doing a lot of very innovative stuff, which I can't talk too
No,
much
no,
about
I know.
because
Yeah, totally.
there's like with
Keep it
most
under wraps.
companies,
Yep.
they're pretty sensitive about intellectual property. So.
For the most part, you were happy there for the summer. It was a good gig.
Yeah, no, it was like everybody was really pleasant to work with, and
Which-
yeah,
Great at LPs.
Mm-hmm.
You
It really
don't-
makes
you-
it or
that's like-
breaks it, right? Like
yeah.
who you work with on the
I
regular.
can't.
Not just LPs
I won't
though.
imagine like you will find. Well, I'm just saying like with LPs, like you kind of go into it like assuming everyone's a stoner type, but like
Sure,
you
yeah.
find that
yeah.
like they're not. That's
No.
not necessarily the case. They're all just like good people that are just like.
For the most
not
part. That being said, it is a
stoners.
huge new industry. There's spots to be filled, so proximity to the job really could get you a foot in the door in some situations.
Yeah.
And because that you're
Well-
just so close to the job doesn't mean you can be completely qualified or even that good of a person. You know, we've seen that firsthand working where we did for the summer. They're just some bad eggs, you know, when you have
Yeah.
a huge crew and you're always bringing new people in every week, like you're going to wean people down. And maybe that's part of the strategy there, you know, bring in a ton of people and cull out the bad ones, you know. I guess that makes sense.
So,
but
yeah, and some people I think have just like with like organic, they kind of romanticize certain
Mhm.
aspects of it,
Sure.
Yeah.
and then they come into the industry and realize
For
like,
sure.
I was willing to start anywhere. Like
Yeah.
I was originally going to be plant care, just like a better paid plant care
Mhm.
specialist,
Mhm.
and I just they had a horticulturalist that was leaving, and they're like, hey, do you want to? Because I was more interested in the plant aspects. I kind of like IPM's okay, but I like growing technology, working with the plants, figuring how to grow better plants, techniques to
Smarter thing,
manipulate the
yeah.
plants, stuff like that. That's my yeah.
IPM's good to know, for sure.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It's just not my
Yeah.
interest.
Sure,
So
sure.
Yeah. Whereas I really like IPM.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's good to know, but yeah, I'm definitely more plant-based and like what can get me the biggest, baddest motherfuckers, right?
Something I'd be super interested in too is like I wonder if anybody's done any breeding work in like in IPM, like with different insects and like doing
Mm.
trials to see what works better,
Mm.
maybe making better.
That's interesting.
I don't know much about it, but
Cultivar specific.
Or just like
Genus specific.
better, more effective pest predators. Or
No,
parasites.
yeah, I know.
Straight up just breeding of pests.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I'd find some mutative
There's-
like
yeah.
spider mite that kills all the bad spider
All the other
mites.
spider
Yeah.
mites. It's just
And
like
it actually like
And then
when
you
it
get to name it.
feeds-
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, could come up with such a good name
Anger
with
of
like
aphids.
my last name's Gunn, so I could incorporate my last name into the name,
Yeah.
and it could be like the Gunn aphid, the Gun mite.
I have snails in the tank, and I guess because they kill other snails, they're assassin snails. So same
Assassin
kind of deal,
snails.
assassin spider
So
mites. or
they kill
something.
the other snails
Yeah,
like really
yeah.
slowly.
Yeah.
Well, they just like
They
because
literally.
it's considerably bigger than the
Yeah.
small like ram's horn snail, so it'll just like roll over on top of it, find like the opening to get it out of its shell, and then game's over.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's almost
It
it
just, like,
has like a little
sucks it up.
tentacle almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's. You don't think because it's like it's a soft body, but it's like it's really nasty looking. Like
Yeah,
rasping.
it's just
Yeah.
created to.
You'd
fuck
rather.
other things
Yeah,
up, you know
like
what I mean?
insects are so
Yeah.
kind of.
They're insane.
Like I'm just glad there's nothing that like that out there that like
There's
Our
no
size?
or
no
eats us.
people-sized
Yeah.
praying mantises
Yeah.
out there. Oh,
Yeah.
it would be
God.
so fun.
Could you imagine
Oh,
just
man.
seeing spider mites and
Uh,
just thrips
uh.
flying around like
What was that movie?
white
Eight-Legged
flies.
Freaks.
Or like King Kong. Did you see that one scene where they fall in the pit? That was so fucked up. The Jackson one.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they fall in this pit and there's all these giant bugs and it's just like what you would imagine
I hate it.
if.
I hate it.
We saw some giant bugs on the trip.
Oh,
I got some
Yeah.
pictures there.
Yeah.
Apparently it's spiders mating season in Australia or some shit,
Oh yeah.
and literally Australia is covered in spider webs.
Oh wow.
Literally covered. Like you'll see a tree and it's just like snow covered, but there's spider web.
Well, I guess Sydney's not
it's-
growing weed in
Oh,
fucking
hell
Australia
no.
anymore. That cuts that
Hell
country
no.
out.
Last weekend I saw a spider in my bathroom and I
Lost
fucking
her
did
mind.
not go into the bathroom all weekend until someone came home to fucking kill it or make sure it wasn't in the bathroom. I was I have
Phobias.
PTSD about it.
Phobias.
Yeah, Australia's like a nice little island of deadly
Yeah.
things too.
Yeah.
There's like black mambas and wandering spiders.
Well, and they even just have those birds that attack you out of the sky. They just like literally you're riding
Jack
your
your
bike.
kids and stuff.
I don't
and-
know.
No, they literally just like peck your head. What are they called? Maybe I'll Google it.
Oh,
Like
God, bird.
harpy eagles or something.
Yeah.
It's literally
Like fly down and like
fuck.
gouge your eyes.
There's videos of people riding bikes with like GoPro strapped, and you can
The
just
bird
see them
just like,
dive,
You see this bird.
dive bombing now.
So you're talking about exploring other options when it comes to cannabis. Any plans to apply for the CCP program?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought a lot about that. I think I just want to I kind of want to get into the workforce.
Yep.
And, but I don't know. It's difficult. But yeah, I want to work for a while, see how that
Mhm.
goes.
Magpies.
Magpies are the birds.
They literally just swoop down. Look.
Oh my.
Yeah, they'll
That's
just
terror.
swoop down.
Terror film.
It's
That's
like
funny.
it looks like a scene from The Birds.
Did they see?
Yeah. Oh wow, that turned up really well. Actually, that's fucking funny. Cool. Nice. So probably just going in the workforce, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've reluctantly paid the money and got the email. I've been like, my application's accepted. It's just like the same kind of deal. I'm ready to get in the workforce,
What
but
did-
another 8 months.
You applied to
then
the thing?
I paid for like the Ontario College.
You already
thing,
did that
yeah.
shit? Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Nice. Congrats.
Just to get it done and start the portfolio when I have some fucking time. But I figure if they don't take me first semester, then I'm going working, and like that'll probably be it for education for me. It's
Yeah.
not super vital. It would be nice to kind of like shoot you up to the stratosphere in the cannabis world, but at the same time, yeah, I want to fucking start settling down, fucking find out where I'm going, and find a job Monday to Friday.
Start the fun.
Yeah.
Start the fun, I guess. Just stop the school, really. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
This is cool. We had Care, Care Novacek. She's
Mm.
in our program. Long black hair, really nice. Anyways, had her on the podcast a couple weeks ago
Nice.
with Sydney. Sydney is 1999. I'm a 1990, and Care was the next
was-
generation up, right? And you're
Yeah.
mid-30s as well,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of a generational gap going on here as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it's definitely
Oh my god.
time to start working.
I
Yeah.
just realized we were all 10 years apart.
Who? You, me, and Care?
Yeah,
We're not-
literally.
We're not 10 years apart.
Oh no, 9. It was. We were all 9 years apart.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's just
no,
cool,
roughly,
like,
roughly.
People you meet at
That's a
school,
lie.
you know,
She's
good
not.
and the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about the disruptions in class on the podcast before.
Yeah.
It just can't not. When you come home from like a
It's
busy
so
day and it's
irritating.
just like
Yeah.
fresh in your mind, yeah, it's really irritating. Most of them don't come to class anymore, so that's kind of nice. But it's weird. You see them show up to class and then they'll leave for 20 minutes.
Who? Who are we talking
Any of
about?
the disruptive people in class.
Oh yeah.
They'll leave for 20 minutes, half an hour. You'll go to the washroom, come back, see them passed out on the couch in front of the classroom. Like, I don't understand why they even roll out of bed in the morning.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
it's just really confusing. Anyways, that was a little bit of background on Michael. I think we're going to get into the trip now, and then we'll finish off with a couple weed things, I think. Cool. So, I haven't done this before. We're going to see if this works. And this should be showing my slideshow now. So, first picture from my photo video group of the trip. We're heading out. I
Cool.
think this was a picture from, I think this is recording. Yeah, we're good. So I think this is Buffalo to JFK. It was so early in the morning, the sun was rising and stuff. This is something for those flat earthers. See this? See that curve? Yeah, that's a curve. So we'll just move on from that one now.
Yeah, that just. Enough said.
Yeah. So this is our
Ooh.
first transport
Wait.
method.
Yeah.
We got to the, so this is good because she doesn't know what the fuck I'm showing.
Yeah.
She's gonna have a lot of questions. This bus is what transported us from the airport to our first hotel in
That's
San Cristobal.
Yeah.
San Cristobal, Dominican Republic. Yeah, and that was like the hustle and bustle kind of metropolis city before we went up to the mountain in a few days.
I really like that.
How long was it? Half an hour? 10
Yeah,
10
about
minutes Dominican time, right?
I want to
um,
convert that bus into a house.
You can't see it, but there's actually like chains and like barbed wire that come out the side. and
What?
sticking out the vehicles get close.
Oh fuck! Are you kidding? You're kidding.
Yeah.
I thought you were serious.
So we ride that bus for about half an hour into the city. We get dropped off just around the corner from our hotel, throw all our bags in, get our rooms and stuff sorted, quick shower if you want. And then just down the road in the city there, just a little walk away, was this, was it Grand's? Cafeteria Grand's or something? But they've been open 1967, 24 hours, 7 days a week, so they never close.
oh shut the front door.
Never close. And they had some pretty good food. Like, we were all
Yeah.
kind of jet lagged, and like we needed the beers and stuff originally.
Yeah.
But it was nice, like solid cooked food. What did we get? Like, I think I had chicken queso or something. I pretty much did whatever our teacher did because
Yeah.
he's done this before. So it's like, all right, you're ordering this, I'm gonna have this. Perfect. It's easy. So that was one of our first little locations there. I don't think I have any more.
Yeah, it's a nice
Oh,
open
shut
A
restaurant.
lot of
the
street
fuck
art and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have legit jobs, right?
Aw.
So you just see them all day,
Yeah.
just painting
so
wherever
nice.
they can find a spot. I think I have a bunch of pictures.
My
of the,
mom has a really nice Cuban painting.
Yeah,
hung
there's
in our
some really
living room.
nice art. on
Little kitty. I mean, like, they are artists. You know what I mean? When you have the time to really put in a craft like that, like, this is the kind of stuff that can
That
come
one
out of it.
top right or top left. Sorry,
Oh, this one? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good.
that's cool. Ooh, the piano man in the middle. I love that.
And yeah, these were just scattered. It was either art, carvings, metalwork, rings, like any touristy shit,
Yeah.
but still, like, it was all really nice stuff. More art. This was in that. Was it a church that we
Yeah,
did
the
a
church,
tour?
yeah.
We did an initial tour of the city, kind of like a little bit of like a historical background, Christopher Columbus and a couple of conquerors and stuff. This was a church, main city, I guess, where they do their. Was it a church, right?
Yeah, it was a church and apparently had a bit of a history too, a bit of a history with fascism, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that chandelier in the top.
I only got the one picture on here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll have to.
There was like a big open
what it
flame
sent
in the
you.
middle and
Yeah.
stuff too. It was just really cool. Like, they had guards standing on duty 24/7. I don't know about 24/7, but they were there when we were there. And yeah, you just get the historical vibe from everything. Talking about fascism and like really weird, like, different culturalism there. We'll get into it a little deeper, but their idea of racism is really skewed. Like Dominican Republic shares the island with Haiti, right? But
Mhm.
apparently Haitians are like treated like worse than dogs to these people. The darker you get, apparently there, the shittier of a person you're supposed to be.
What?
That they don't even they don't believe that there's racism in the country, but they treat the Haitians like shit. Am I getting that right? Like they were so skewed that they think how they treat the Haitian people was okay because they're so low in their like cultural beliefs and I guess whatever happened historically.
Yeah, because they were under a Haitian dictator, weren't they, for a long period of time?
That would
Okay.
make sense.
But I mean, it doesn't excuse it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where I think a lot of it comes from.
Just a lot. It wasn't a lot of culture shock. Like I was okay. It was more of a homesick thing for me the first couple days than anything else. But you definitely like notice shit when you're
Yeah.
there for a week, 8 days. Like it's like yeah, this is a little different. Like even like seeing people. What was one thing? I was sitting beside our teacher on the back of the truck, which we're gonna see in a minute. I think they had a candy wrapper or they had a bottle of water or something. They just pitch it over the side into like the forest, and it's like, really? And all the white people on the truck were all like looking like, oh, that's kind of weird, you know, like shouldn't be littering. And then it's just common for them to throw it in the trash and away it goes. The wind
Yeah.
takes it away, right? Like.
And then remember we got off the plane and like all those people were trying to help us with our luggage.
Oh yeah,
And-
that's just them trying to make a
Yeah.
buck as well. Yeah.
Well,
And then
yeah.
there were a lot of like when I remember we were sitting out on the balcony the one night and there were just all these people, very poor people just asking for money and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and it was really hard. But like, yeah, there's just like a lot of there you can see like there's like some really well off places and like just
Yeah.
like some really extremely poor places.
Yeah, just different world there. What was I gonna say? You mentioned the balcony. I just wanted to bring up that this is the shot out of the left of our balcony, up in the city where we spent a couple nights there. Hotel
Yeah.
Monumental.
Yeah.
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 And then this is the other shot. I got a couple night shots later on as well. So you'd have your art vendors and stuff all the way here, and then I think right around here is where the little restaurant was that we went to.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this would have been like early morning when it's all kind of
Yeah,
quiet,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Just random, like, I don't know
Yeah,
what these
really
were, but
cool
these were
street
all
art.
over the city, and then I guess they just painted them, fancied them up a little bit.
Yeah.
This was when we were driving to the beach.
Oh yeah,
This
this
was
was
the
like
monument
this
to Christopher Columbus,
extremely
right?
like the most of the cities PO'd about this because
30 million, they said?
yeah, 30 million, and
And the
they have
streets
to
are
shut
garbage,
off.
right?
Yeah, and then they have to shut off most of the city's power just to light it for a couple nights, and
They built it whenever Pope John Francis, whatever, was coming for
to
a
try
tour.
to show off.
Yeah,
and-
that
yeah.
they Catholicism.
kidding.
Oh yeah. So they
Just
spent
for
a
that?
huge dollar that the city could have spent elsewhere on.
Yeah, on like programs for the citizens.
Oh, that was
Whoa.
not going to the beach. That was going to these
Tros Eos, Three Eyes.
Troseos, yeah,
Yeah.
Three Eyes caves. And
I think
it's,
I-
yeah.
Ah,
Tres.
So
these
this
are
is just us heading
cool.
down.
That's very cool.
Here's a shot. Yeah, look how blue that water is and all the.
Did you get to go swimming?
No.
No, yeah, we weren't allowed to swim in this.
I got some video here just to check it out. Bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen.
If she loads.
Yeah, for real. What the hell? I'm gonna kill this other beer.
Do it.
Wow. It was so clear.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
And then we saw some fish and stuff swimming around some different spots.
Oh
after
yeah,
that,
tilapia
yeah.
were just like
I think
everywhere.
I got a shot of that. Oh, this guy.
Is he a rule breaker?
No, he was looking for money to show off his diving skills here.
Yeah, he's got this little flag up there. I think he probably did it multiple times.
Oh yeah, he gets $1 off this a day for sure.
Thanks for that.
Being a loudmouth tourist as usual. He's got like a little flag. Is that too loud for anybody?
No, it's not. Yeah, that would not be
Do
me.
a backflip.
I mean, yeah.
It's deep. It's deep. It's fucking.
Yeah, I know. It's just like
I'm
I don't
not
know.
about the height.
Hey-o.
Nice dive.
Yeah, that
Ah,
was
me and Mal the same.
yeah,
That was a
he's-
nice dive.
that was
Not bad.
50. Was it dollars or pesos? Pesos, well spent, right?
Pesos.
Yeah, he wasn't getting $50 for that. No way. So he's
had to-
jumping.
He only did it if
He's
he got enough.
Yeah. So he's jumping up over here, and then you come walk down, and then you have like their boat or gully or whatever to ship you on over to the last little spot here, which was super cool. Here we go, another video that we're gonna have to wait for. Take this time to appreciate our nice beer 101 from Niagara College Brewery. Yeah, those are all tilapia.
So clear. Normally you don't get that.
This guy's talking about a crocodile that killed an American or something.
Yeah, I guess there's a crocodile in the lagoon there, and some tourists got attacked.
Don't go fucking swimming in the water when they don't tell you to. It's all right. I'm American. I can do it.
Yeah, and he's talking. Yeah.
For the record, Mike carries both Canadian and USA passport. Fun fact.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I naturalized when I was in the States.
So fucking nice. God damn it. Now the fucking snow's falling outside and the cars are slipping around on the fucking. Oh man. And look at all this natural like pothos here and just the growth that you see that you would have to like keep in a greenhouse here, like everywhere.
Yeah,
Fields
it's, like,
of snake
growing
plants
wild.
and shit. Yeah.
You saw the birds.
Oh yeah, beehives and stuff up here. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, you don't have to hear me geeking out on the bees. What else do we got? So the whole fucking trip, I'm like, oh look, there's not Monstera. There's mimosa. There's a mimosa tree, and it's like they were of the mimosa family, but it wasn't like the sensitive touch plant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so many of them all over the place just looked like this.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Snake
There was a
plant, snake
fucking
plant, snake.
huge
This is
one at
the
the
start
show.
of the field of snake plants here.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's apparently quite invasive where where it can actually grow.
Is that plantain?
So we got to the beach after 3 años, and it was a little overcast. Looked like it was going to rain. It rained for maybe 10 minutes on, and then off, and then a couple hours again.
Yeah.
But great little spot where people, again, they're poor. They're always bringing you stuff to try and sell you necklaces, bracelets, food.
Yeah.
Sure, they have, they'll buy beers from the bar and bring them around for a higher price. But because we're part of the school group that's been going for so long, like they know us, so they kind of took our orders and got everything for us and brought it all back to the table and stuff. So again, following the teacher's guidance, fried chicken and fried plantains, a little salad on the side. It was really fucking good.
Oh yeah.
Those
and
cheap beers, like, oh man.
Yeah.
It was a good first full day to kind of get. Again, I was feeling a little off for the first day or two, and this was nice to kind of get you in vacay mode as well as like, clear out the pipes a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one thing, kind of on a tangent here, people say that there is no like negative side effects to the whole cannabis usage scene. I'm a heavy user, and the one thing that I found from like going cold turkey for the week of traveling the first couple days, zero appetite. Because I usually will smoke a bowl or something, like come home, make dinner, and then eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smoke a few bowls. So I'm usually like stoned when I'm eating. So there's some kind of correlation there that my body's used to getting like the THC up before my appetite kicks in. So because I didn't have the THC and the cannabis with me the first couple days, like I really didn't feel like eating. And because you're out in the fucking heat all day, you really got to push yourself to eat and drink.
Yeah.
So that is the one negative that I will wholeheartedly speak for towards the heavy cannabis usage. That being said, there's plenty of countries that are slowly going to be coming around on their cannabis tourism fronts. Last podcast, I talked about PEI and how they're really focusing Atlantic Canada on like cannabis tourism and stuff to kind of I guess, bring a younger crowd to the East Coast, because West Coast is dominating like the tourism markets with cannabis and stuff for the last couple decades, right? So the East Coast now is starting like bud and breakfasts, like the micro cultivations where you come in and tour and kind of workshop and stuff and learn and do your own thing there. They're just kind of, again, it is a big elderly population that does the tourism thing over there. So they're trying to bring a more naturalistic view to like cannabis and outdoors, cannabis and, you know, seafaring and stuff like that, or even just hanging out at home and doing whatever. They're pushing the whole CBD thing for like spa treatments and relaxation, shit like that. You know what I mean? It's just a whole other aspect. Every day there's a new industry that's coming into the weed world just because of, you know, it's easy, really. It's something new and there's a lot of money behind it. Yeah. That was my tangent. Moving on. Picture, beach. We're awesome. Moving on. So that was that. Couple big beers there. And then this shell. I got that sitting right there. That's the fucking coolest shell I've ever found. I've been to a few different beaches. And, yeah, gotta say, that one takes the cake.
Oh, yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the guy came around with the, was it the pork ribs? Or the portion? Oh, that was so good.
It was like the full pork skin and everything.
Yeah,
just like gutted and cut up.
And then a little bit of like a really light tempura or something like that on it. It was so good.
That sounds yummy.
We had a couple of vegetarians and vegans on the trip though, which did not partake.
See, yeah. I personally think going into it you should have researched
I agree.
the cultures.
I agree.
Diet.
But
I also think
a little bit of communication.
No, I don't. I feel bad for those people because that, like, I wouldn't have even thought of that going into it. Just because, like, you don't think that, like, you think everyone's like got vegetarian options. Everyone's got vegetarian.
It's a whole different part of the world, though.
But it's just like those people survive off meat because like they raise their meat. Yeah. And like that's a huge like.
That's true. That's a good
cost saver.
And then that cuts out your whole moral dilemma of where did your food come from that we have here, and that a lot of people go vegetarian, vegan for that reason alone.
Well, because there's documented abuse in some of the larger operations. Yeah.
I totally understand it. I just don't have the willpower. That's all it is.
I get it.
Can't change.
I just think like when you have that lifestyle, it's like when you're on like a keto diet, you're not gonna go to the Dominican Republic on a keto diet and expect them to be following the same diet restrictions.
Yeah, I think I'd probably, if I were, I'd probably make an exception, just because
it might fuck up your whole digestive tract doing that too.
Yeah,
right? Like,
possibly
be a shock
for a while.
To your
that's
system.
Like you said. Like taking a break, like I don't know, like the whole morals of veganism and vegetarianism.
Oh, I see.
If you did take a break, like I mean, you can look at it the way, like you said, like they treat the animals different there. Like they're not cramming a million chickens into a room this big.
That's a good point.
They're literally keeping 3 chickens in their backyard, free range, and then they're collecting the eggs, and then eventually, they're gonna eat the chicken because they need to.
Survivor style.
Yeah, it's more subsistence there. Yeah,
you know?
No, you make a good point there.
And they're not, like, fucking feeding them, like, shit, you know? They're feeding them their compost, I'm assuming, or whatnot, you know?
Well, they're not going to afford to
They're not buying fucking steroids and all that nasty GMO shit.
Anyways, the food was really good. We were there with a little Filipino girl, one of our students that was with us, and she's like, "This is a staple back home." You know what I mean?
She
the
probably
pig.
loved it.
Yeah, she was.
If she's from like the Philippines.
We were there with a really diverse crew. Like, we had a German vegetarian there, and then we had the
Carolyn.
the vegan who was a NC student. I can't remember where Sarah's from. No, she's from Welland, St. Catharines. St. Catharines,
I think so. Yeah.
A guy from Hamilton there. The Filipina girl.
German chick seems really nice.
Oh yeah, Carolyn was
really cool.
amazing.
I briefly talked to her, and you briefly told me about the one thing that just sticks out to translating and asking for the surfboard. Because no one does that on school trips.
Well, okay, so she did that. She got up in front of
the yoga
school.
Or judo.
Well, yeah, the judo. And then she also did the school, the thing at the school.
Oh, the kids. Yeah.
Which I'm totally embarrassed. Like, I just see myself in the background.
Yeah. Oh, you saw videos?
Anyway, yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
I don't want to see that
why was I
shit.
standing behind Catherine?
That's so funny.
And it was just like all nerves, right? But like
Yeah,
she just they just have different. She's very outgoing.
Yeah, they're brought
they
up
can,
different,
they
man.
can talk to people. And like I was saying to Craig, I met like a few German people on a trip I went on, and like their schooling, their education there, like a lot of the times they go to like what's it called, universal school. So like they learn like 8 languages.
Yeah.
They learn like all the big languages and like just as school, like as we would learn math, like they learn English and Spanish
apparently
and,
being multilingual too does something with your ability to learn and that sort of thing. Like does some
they
cognitive.
learn like math just like in English and like apparently
just makes your
math is
brain
just like
much more flexible.
they like learn math. It's like exercising your brain.
Well, that's what it is.
Because like you're trying to think to translate, which like gets the juices flowing.
Exactly.
So I'm assuming it kind of like math. That's nothing compared to I'm literally translating
Different
another
parts,
language.
But you're still working out your brain on the constant, and it's the best way to keep it healthy.
Yeah, I remember we were on the plane and I was asking her the correct pronunciation of how we would say Volkswagen. It was like Volkswagen or Volkswagen. Volkswagen.
Wagon,
Yeah.
wagon, because they don't do the W.
And she's just like, no, that's not how you say it.
Oh, really?
Just anyway, but
that's funny.
So her and then Mel
she was nice.
from
Mel's really
she's
cool
another
too.
student.
Yeah, Mel was awesome.
I think she's planning to do the Canvas program. We were talking about it for a while on the trip. But she is
Shout
an
out
American.
To Mel. She's got the coolest T-shirt.
Yeah, I told her that on the trip too.
I'm a big fan.
Melissa Drake.
Shout out.
Yeah, she was supposed to come on the podcast, but she's busy. That's cool. Shit happens. I'll get her eventually.
Just
yeah. Oh, the old Red Dead with the lasso. Right? I'm so addicted to this fucking game, man. I'm not a huge gamer anymore. I used to be, but this new like the same makers of like Grand Theft Auto and stuff just came out with like it's like Grand Theft
Did you
Auto,
say you're
but
not a big gamer?
Wild West. Comparatively
That's a
comparatively speaking, I don't spend my nights
That's
gaming
true.
anymore and then going to work or school. Like I sleep. I get my 8 hours. That's key. And then everything else is extra. But yeah, it's like Grand Theft Auto in like the Wild West, 1860s. So yeah, it's choice. Okay, tangents. I'm doing good so far. Let's keep this train going. So there's your nighttime shot at the Hotel Monumental there. Yeah, just hanging out.
Nice
Is that you? Or is that Bill?
That's Bill.
And then the day after that, we went to the university. Was it WAS or VOS University?
WAS.
WAS. So do you know what that stands for?
Actually,
is that Colleen?
Colleen went. Yep.
Again.
Oh, did she go before? No, she didn't.
She
go
went
before.
last year, I thought. Oh, maybe it was this year.
No. Universidad
yes, she
Autónoma
did.
de Santo Domingo.
I swear she went with Yvette.
Yeah, it's like autonomous.
I don't
or
think she
something.
went.
I swear she went with Yvette. Maybe it was another one of her that girl.
I think it was Me Young.
Oh,
I think it was Me Young that went. But yeah, they just kind of gave us a little bit of a lesson on like sustainability, what they're trying to do. Avocados was a big. They were pushing avocados a lot. Avocados are really fucking cool. They're flowers. So you got A flowers and B flowers when it comes to your avocados. Some of them, your A flowers open in the morning. Some of them, the A flowers open at night. It's all about gene variability and stuff, so that the A flower on this one can't pollinate the bee flower on the same plant. It has to go somewhere else.
Whoa.
Yeah, super cool, like time-controlled flowerings.
Avocados are cool.
Yeah. Got a aquaponic avocado on the go. I've got one in the closet right now.
Nice.
One of those big Haas avocados.
What are they called?
The big ones?
Yeah.
See, I didn't think they were Haas either, but
European?
when I went on the trip, everyone was calling them Haas avocados.
Oh.
But I do remember we went and picked up this gigantic fucking avocado from the store, and it was something different. I thought it started with an E, but
Oh yeah, did you? Was it Linda that posted that photo with the avocados from the Dominican?
like they were legit from.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they were
she posted
stamped.
those. Yeah. So yeah, this was the president of the university. Just came and welcomed us. Told that like he just spoke like saying the communication between their school and our school is like super prime, and they're trying to like, amp it up for the coming years. And we just did the trip debrief last night. It seems like it was doing that almost seems like salt in the wound. You know, our trip's over. Now they're asking us, how can we make this better for the next guys? And it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna get this, so I don't care what you do for the next guys. You know what I mean?
Oh,
No.
I like.
I know, but it's like you guys are just trying to pull me back in, eh?
You know what I like to? Well, I don't know. If I had the money, I'd maybe go.
I would love to
again.
go again, but
It's just, yeah, it was a lot. It was challenging to get the finances together to go.
absolutely, because you signed up last minute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck, man. If you didn't sign up for that, that would have been an entirely different trip for me. Because as I said, there was a core group of friends who signed up for the trip together, and good for them. That's a smart move. Me, I kind of hush to my group, and I'm like, I'm going on my own here. I'm doing my own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to talk to Bill, cannabis. Like, that's my main focus. I got a ton of information. I feel like the money there was worth it alone. And then the trips, everything else. But, like, it definitely slowed some of the progression a little bit of getting to know people when there's a core group of 4 or 5 who really don't have to make the effort to get to know other people because they already have their core group of friends. And, again, not bashing on them. If I had thought things through and maybe think, most people probably aren't going to want to do what you're doing, Craig, and go solo. You know what I mean? Maybe there's going to be, and that probably wouldn't have changed any of my decisions anyways. It just kind of, my expectations would have been a little different. Like, I expected us all to be, like, pretty green to each other and just kind of looking for, like, you know, chances to go out and walk around the city and stuff like that. And it really didn't happen. And that is cool. I totally understand. Again, that's more my bad than anybody else's. This is my podcast. I get to voice my shit, right?
Yeah.
If people hear it, then again, this is something that made me think about in the future. But again, great trip, and it's more of, you just gotta, at least on my part, kind of gotta think about everything as a whole more instead of just diving in. Sometimes I'll dive in on things and they'll work out, and sometimes not so much. Again, the trip was phenomenal. If I had the money, I would do it all again. That was really the only thing. Like, I expected more of the team building thing that Bill really pushed, that we were all going to come out of. Like, he said something about there's going to be one day where we all got together and really worked on, like, our team development and building. And I'm not saying, like, it didn't feel like I've, you know, gotten to know these people and shit and all. I'm just saying that the effort would have been higher on both parts had, you know, it needed to be, right? Which is why I'm glad you showed up. Because, again, I know you. But beyond that, it would have been just me and Bill.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Shy little Craig.
Shy little Craig, exactly.
Hey, I'm the same way.
Well,
It's taken me a long time to, you know, I'm pretty introverted, so it took me a long time to, like, Carolyn, I was, like, super uncomfortable. She was so friendly, but it's just, like, very uncomfortable around.
Well, it's such a shock because it's like she's from a different country. You don't want to say the wrong thing around her. And that's kind of how I get around most people who, like, don't know me from the get-go anyways, because I do usually speak my mind pretty quickly.
Openly.
And it didn't get me into some trouble one night, but there was one night where, like, it was 1 a.m. and I was drug talking with Day and Rain, and Bill's, like, leaning over the balcony asking us to go to bed, and it's like, shit. I didn't want to be that guy. But at least it was kind of something, I wouldn't say intelligent to be talking about, but, you know, something out of the ordinary to kind of consider. I was talking about mushrooms and how I think they're going to be, like, the next change to legal thing for medical and all this shit, and talking about acid and depression and how drugs are illegal for the wrong reasons. And then Bill's just kind of leaning over and he's like, guys, can you go to bed? And it's like, sorry, Bill, and then run off the bed and hide my shame for a little bit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just, like, I'm really happy that you signed up for the trip.
Thanks.
Selfishly, beyond the fact that you had a good time and stuff too, but it was just nice because, we were roommates for those first couple nights, and the last couple nights it was just nice to have our own little space away from everybody else to kind of retreat to now and again. And then we had our own rooms in the hotel. We can go ahead here. We were talking about the university, and then I got on a tangent. So here we go, Santo Domingo. That's where the university was. That's where our first couple nights were. And then we went, where are we here? Across this highway for a bit. What was it, 2.5 hours? And then this is a mountain here.
It was long.
Maybe use the mouse so, like, they can.
Oh,
follow
yeah, I guess
along.
I could. Yeah, true. So we start here, Santo Domingo, for the first couple nights. We flew into Santo, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it wasn't far. I guess that's where we flew in right there. SDQ, yeah. And then we drove to Santo for a couple days, did all that, the caves and the beach and all that shit. San Cristobal down here. And then we came up, and this is a mountain. There's no topographical lines or anything. But yeah, we just started going up the mountain, lost Wi-Fi for a while. That was another thing. I can't believe that all our shuttles had Wi-Fi.
I was expecting to have like nothing.
I was expecting, like, I was mentally prepared to like cut off from the internet for a few days at least. Well, Bill had prepared us for the whole trip that Wi-Fi was going to be sketchy. It wasn't the first few days, and then it's like talking to her back home. It's like, all right, we're heading up the mountain. This might be it for a few days. It's like, fuck, I fucking hope this isn't it for a few days, because you kind of get addicted to being able to talk back to home and shit. You know what I mean? Sending pictures and stuff.
It's kind of nice to. The first couple of days, I kind of disconnected.
Yeah. I didn't see your phone in your hand too much, but then when we're hanging out on the balcony and stuff at night, it's just kind of nice to unwind and send a couple of pictures off to mom and shit and see what's going on at home, make sure everything's cool. Just nice peace of mind. That was another thing. You see that everybody there is on their phones now because they have the connectivity all of a sudden that they didn't before. We were talking to people about mail. They don't even get a mail service up the mountain, so they have to drive all the way down the mountain to get their mail. I was thinking that could be a business for somebody alone. They get a tiny little shop up on the mountain, and they make that drive once a week, once
like
every 2 weeks. No, well, he does the whole thing, and then he can deliver it out around, and then you have to pay him, or he doesn't deliver your mail, or he doesn't pick it up. You pay him, and he adds your name to the list. You know what I mean? I'm the government-approved mailman. I'm coming to bring this stuff back up to Los Cacaos. But what I was saying is with the internet, you see everybody on their phones, and beyond that, they can bring Wi-Fi down to the rivers and stuff because they have those little pocket Wi-Fi things. It looks like a little phone, like half the size of a smartphone. And all it is, you turn it on, you charge it, and I guess that's what you're billed by.
Man.
So you pay, it's like paying a cell phone bill, but I bet they buy their phones outright. I bet you. They have to buy this straight outright for whatever it would be. They don't have quite the phones like this, but they weren't bad, right? Like they had smartphones, so they probably buy their phones outright, and then they have to pay monthly on their little Wi-Fi thing. But they can take it wherever the fuck they want. So they literally are more connected than we are.
Yeah, that's my understanding with a lot of countries like India. It's
we
like
have
their phones.
We have bad internet, man. Yeah.
Well, like their phones are basically like their computers and communication devices. It kind of makes a lot of the other stuff that
obsolete.
Like kind of obsolete. Like we kind of used to have, like mail services and that sort of thing, because they're like always connected, right? Because mail is just like essentially communication.
Oh yeah,
you're getting
just
all that
fast,
stuff by email,
or
right?
slow. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're not using birds anymore.
Yeah.
341 and my phone's at 41%. Get out of here. Okay, so that was the travel up the mountain. I might have a video as we're rolling in.
My phone's at 4%.
My photos are a little bit out of order here. This is a shot up at the top of the university there. I got some panos and stuff, but I didn't put them on. I threw them up on my Facebook and stuff. But you can just see, like, it is a city. It is developed, and there was more going on than I expected. You know what I mean? It did seem mostly based around the university. We were in, like, a campus, you know what I mean? So that was the big main building of the school, but then everything else was, like, they had the gym, they had the judo place, but then they had, like, their little buildings spread out. Kind of like the college, how the greenhouse is kind of off to the side, or a better example might be University of Guelph, where the main campus, you have your main buildings and everything, your main halls, but then there's also, like, your archaeology buildings and, like, your science wing and shit like that. They had one, which, if this is timed up properly, no. So I was really into these. You see this everywhere. It's a surrealist kind of paintings of, like, they didn't have faces, right? The ladies
it was
in the
like
fields.
all shape, and there was some subliminal
mostly
stuff.
pastels, and then it was just like all these hats and just people working in the fields and stuff. I think that was the only picture I got of that. But then more surrealist stuff. This was right inside that seismology office there. Kind of tucked away in another room, so I'm glad I got a picture of it. But it's just
they had some
eyeballs
really cool
and shit. Like, super weird, super weird. And then this is the day we were there. That morning there was a big earthquake. What was it, 6?
Yeah,
off
Vancouver.
the coast.
Vancouver. Yeah, they're overdue for a mega thrust.
Scary.
Were they?
Yeah, like there's this. I guess there's all these historical kind of markers for this, like, just apocalyptic earthquake over there.
Oh.
And they're.
It
happens in
Dominican.
No, not in Dominican.
Vancouver.
Huh. Vancouver, Washington, where I used to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was like a huge tsunami that went through there. Apparently, there was a tribe of Indians that was on this island. The whole island just got, like, wiped out.
Just wiped out. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, so that's where the Thunderbird, apparently the myth they suspect the myth originated from.
Like A Thunderbird?
Yeah, because it just
Is this
it
like,
sounded like, yeah, I guess there was just like, this is like super like maybe sketchy history.
Is this
but-
like native belief of
yeah,
the Thunderbird?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
kind of like the
Cool,
origins
cool,
of the myth
cool,
and that
cool.
sort of
Yeah.
thing. You'd probably have to ask an actual.
Right, yeah. You're
maybe
part
a
native, aren't you?
geologist, but-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Aboriginal.
Tell me about the Thunderbird.
I don't know.
Oh, well.
I'm like fucking
I just want to put you on the
Seventh.
spot.
7th generation.
I'm just fucking with you.
No, I'm like
But I
third,
just
fourth,
remember reading
fourth
this like
generation.
history of the.
I don't
event.
fucking know actually.
Yeah, and it was
Big
not
wave.
something you want to be around for when it happens. It's like, do you remember the tsunami in was it the Philippines or?
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw. Oh man, like, and then people are just like, where'd the water go? And
Mm.
it's like, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah,
time
it
to
sucked
start
it all
running.
in and it's making a
Yeah.
big wave, right?
It's
Fuck.
spooky.
Yeah, I know. It's so
Spooky.
eerie and spooky.
Oh, here we go. We're riding up to the hotel now. So my stuff might be a little bit out of order, but so this is Las Cacaos. I think our hotel is just up here. Las. It's Las, right? Los Cacaos. Las Vegas.
Los, I think, is massive.
Oh, this is just gonna repeat. That's all I got of that heading up into the city. But you can see it's just basic like stone. This is cinder block walls, and they cement over it, paint them
Yeah.
up. All these pretty colors. You see vibrant colors:
What are
pinks,
they?
green, blues, reds. Those are people's houses,
Okay.
buildings, whatever. That's it. Yeah, nothing fancy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you had your like really fancy houses, and then you're kind of like run down.
And this is pretty much it at night. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of different like fuck. I was gonna use a really good word for this. Star Wars when they go to the bar. What do they call it? Cantina.
Cantina, yeah.
Cantina. Yeah. So there are a bunch of these cantinas based just all throughout the village, I guess,
Yeah.
and a couple pool tables where we went to buy our beers every night. It's like all the young, like late teens, early 20 males are like shooting pool and shit. It's like fuck,
Yeah.
let me in there, man. I don't want to play pool and get myself fucked up. These people, you know what I mean? Like they'll snake me for sure. But
There
yeah,
were, like motorbikes everywhere.
bikes everywhere, pool everywhere, basketball's huge. It seems like anything where they don't have a lot of, like basketball's a ball, billiards, like you leave all your shit at the bar, so it's not a whole lot of like stuff to take care of all at the same time, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the basketball court is maintained. I'm pretty sure they had said that like regularly, and it seems to be a really popular spot every night. There was noise and stuff coming out of there. Lots of local kiddies, a couple cat moms there. Or a cat mom. I saw SpongeBob. I thought it was funny. So this means good burger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just SpongeBob hanging out there. I don't know why. This was right outside I think that was where we bought our beers, actually, right there. And then on the other side of this is the basketball court.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then there was that like club, that one club that was sort of the new disco. That was.
That's
pretty-
where we did the
yeah,
birthday party, right?
yeah.
I think I have a video of that here. So this is my room here. This is kind of the main level of our hotel here, and then it comes down. This is backwards. It comes down here, and then we all just kind of hung out here for beers and stuff at night, and
Kinda like a
whatever.
patio,
yeah, it was nice. Just
open. It was
secluded.
nice.
Like over here was all walled in, so it was open, but like it wasn't open to the street or anything. So we weren't like yeah, it was nice. Again, bare bones, like nothing fancy, but you're living in the village, right? It's
Yeah.
not a resort.
Yeah.
This is the
it's
front of
more
our
a
place here,
authentic
part of the
experience.
crew,
That's pretty.
and this was a little greenhouse here, coffee
Yep.
nursery.
Yep.
They let us up here and up here. This is where people live above us. So whoever owns the hotel lives up here. Tons of plants. I think this is an orchid here, and then just a bunch of crazy plants up here. And this, what was it
Oh
called?
yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Cloud forest.
Oh, the
right?
cloud forest. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think Bill said that was up higher.
It was
but,
up
like,
further
same
than
kinda-
us,
same
but
kinda
this
thing.
is the kind of thing that you could see,
Yeah,
right?
mist would just
I was
come.
telling you about like cloud forest, how
That's
you're
sick.
so far up that you're just on cloud level, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a daily occurrence for them. I think I got a couple pictures. Nope.
But yeah, it was pretty badass.
So yeah, we just went up here and saw some cool shit, hung out, More of the village. These are the kind of little trucks that we were in. Nothing really to point out here. Just another shot. This was actually when we were up at the coffee plantation there.
Yeah.
I just like put my phone out through the window and then got a really nice shot. Like, look at that fucking mountains forever. And then big banana palms. And then those are coffee beans there, drying out.
Yeah.
This is the coffee plantation. I think that was our ride right there, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just put the little custom seats in it.
Holy shit, coming up to an hour. So these are raw coffee beans here, and then what they do, did I get it? Oh, I didn't. So they take them, they put them in this like really gnarly looking depulper, and it just like peels off the skin of the coffee bean, and then you're left with like dirty these, and then they leave them out in the sun to dry, and then I guess, how do they get dark? I missed that.
Oh, they get, I think this is...
They roast them.
Yeah, this is the roaster. They also had like a tumbler right beside where they dried, and that did the.
Oh
the
yeah, right.
And then they put them through this other machine inside that did another removal.
Nice cock. Nice cock on the truck there. Yeah, this is the kind of transport, if you're lucky, that like, because again, mostly it was bikes. But if, I guess, you needed the space to move shit, then these are the kind of trucks that you're going to get. You know, nothing too fancy. That being said, and I did get a picture of it here, that fucking Jeep that was parked outside, this is us putting together the framework for the greenhouse. So one of the things we were supposed to do when we were down here, and what they've been slowly putting together on the last how many trips, is like a learning, teaching greenhouse to be affiliated with the high school there. It's getting done slowly but surely, piece by piece. The new set of hands come down every 6 months or so, and we're slowly getting it together.
Yeah.
The final day that we were there, I think I got another shot later on of us on the Friday, putting it together, like waiting for the welders, just like getting a little frustrated at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody was a little bit too much on Dominican time at that point. And my camera died.
Did Bill say whether he the welder guy finished the whole thing?
He said yesterday, I thought, that it did get welded up.
Okay, sweet.
She had asked if it got built, and he said no, but it did get welded. Oh, is this gonna give me trouble? Nope, we're good. I don't know what happened there. I've got it plugged into a battery, and the last podcast I did, I had something go wrong with my computer where that camera, the footage on it didn't save. And this was the first time that I used the GoPro, so now I'm just using it every time just in case that this shit doesn't record, because it's good enough and it pulls up just enough audio with a little bit of background noise that like I can post it and feeling relatively confident that people can hear it. So I just like to keep it running just in case.
Yeah.
We're all good, I know for a fact, because this is all rolling still. I've got plenty of space left on my computer. So that's us working on the greenhouse. And then Bill gave us a little crash course on their fertilizers and stuff that they use here. I took a picture of this because it's 1260. For those that don't know, that's an NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium ratio. 60 phosphorus is beyond ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you have our teacher back here in Ontario telling us that you basically need a phosphorus rating of 0 because there's so much phosphorus already apparent in your water that you really don't need to take up space in your fertilizer for it, and then you come over to the Dominican Republic. What's the issue? It's because their pH is so out of whack that they need to pump the phosphorus in to unlock so many more nutrients and stuff that they need the phosphorus to soak up.
Yeah, I think it's very tropical and it's very acidic, so it's like just constantly leaching out.
It's leaching, right.
Yeah.
So all that phosphorus is just going to go, I guess it just goes in the ocean. Really, where else would it go?
Yeah, well, it would either go into the atmosphere or
go
in,
Yeah, crazy. It's just and no potassium. Like for me, the potassium's like your quality. Well, at least when you're talking about cannabis, like that's kind of your quality rating. Before you get into your micronutrients and stuff, you want a decent rating of the potassium, especially for flower. Keeps your cell walls structured and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's, again, I guess because it's tropical and they have a different nutrient availability there, that they don't need the potassium as much as the phosphorus and the nitrogen. But I want to do a podcast maybe in the summer or something when I'm feeling more confident of myself, like a breakdown specific about all the nutrients and like what it's going to do to your plants. Eventually, like I've done a germination video, but eventually like I want to split off from the podcast and do like how to grow weed episodes, you know what I mean? Like really get into it. This I just kind of do for fun. But moving right along, so here's our sweet ride.
Yep.
When they were taking us anywhere on the mountain that we had to go, whether it be up to the different local village schools, those kids, they will travel 2 hours to school and 2 hours back a day.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Cars.
where they have
Crazy.
time to play Red Dead, but they must be up pretty fucking late. You know what I mean? So Buddy was having a nap there too. That was pretty funny. You can't really see, but we got benches and no seat belts in this one, but we were okay. One person we were with was like having serious like nausea and stuff sitting in the back, but like what can you do? Walk? I mean, that's all you get, or you stay at the hotel, I guess, right?
Get up and start walking.
This is a raw, underripe mandarin. This is us going up the hills to that big coffee plantation where we saw like the banana flower up close with Linda.
Oh yeah.
And I got some mushroom pictures and stuff.
That
So
was
this
really cool to
this
go
is
for.
the unripe mandarin orange, and that is the riper mandarin orange mushroom. And this weird looking thing hangs off of the bottom of like a bushel of bananas. And I
Oh.
guess
And they just
each
get
one of
to
these,
go up
how does
there.
it work? Linda was explaining it. So each one of these opens. Eventually, these flowers will fall off, and then the next one has the next set, like right behind it.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal. That
Yeah, so if you like took that lower petiole off, or the lower one, there would be another set of those
sheath, I
under-
guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, floral sheath. Yeah, it just keeps going and going. And
Petal.
I think it was a thing. Yeah, I guess they're just petals.
It's weird when flowers develop. Like you're like, what
Upside
part of
down.
the,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
part of the flower?
True.
Is this?
That's all it is. It's just an
Yeah.
upside down flower.
Yeah.
Huh.
Weird.
And then
Yeah.
those turn into, I guess, bananas.
Those turnip bananas? I don't think so.
You don't think so? Oh, okay.
No, I
Maybe
think
I'm
that'll.
incorrect.
Now you got me wondering. This releases your
I
pollen
mean, but
into
it
another
looks
We'll
plant.
have to
like
ask
it.
Linda.
Yeah, we'll talk to the pros.
It looks
I mean,
like
I'm
it,
down for
though.
wasting time on the podcast. The longer this thing goes, the better for me. But here's some more mushrooms. I think those are oysters. I don't know my mushrooms yet. Chantel's mushrooms. So
Wow.
after that whole day, we had walked along. They tripped us over to a little watering hole. Belle. I'm not with Belle. Just went swimming here. Way out to the side here was like a little bit of rapids waterfall. You could literally like sit in, get a nice little massage
Yeah.
from the water and shit. The water was cold at first because we were so fucking hot, but once you get in there, it was exactly what we needed. We were all dying from heat, and then you just got in there, and it was gorgeous, gorgeous. A lot of fish and stuff in there. That's the Jeep that I was talking about that was parked right outside our place. Don't know where the people who aren't in the tourism industry get the money for this shit, but this was like a fully customized like Jeep
Checked
Wrangler
out,
in
yeah.
the Dominican Republic. So all I'm saying the whole time is, oh look, drug dealers here, you know? Because how the fuck else are you getting this? It was
Well-
either that or like it was some kind of leasing agency, but still, where do you get the money, the excess money there to lease or rent a car for a couple of days, you know? It seems
Yeah.
like such like an extravagant expense for what you see on the regular there. Like how can there be that much of a difference between the people? That's like old school Game of Thrones shit where you have the high family and then everybody else is just peasants. You have a point.
Oh, yeah, I just remember the one night, I think Rain, Carolyn, and Dan, we went out and I think something very similar looking to this kind of rolled up on us and kind of partly rolled down the windows.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, that one night I was getting really bad vibes.
Yeah,
So,
drugs, baby, drugs.
and we kept on getting like, we went to one store and then the next store. We kept on getting
Oh, that was
further
that
and further
night.
out, and I was like, oh, I'm getting a bad feeling,
yeah, they
guys.
wanted to go shopping around the
Yeah,
village or
she- like-
something.
Yeah, I think Rain wanted some Marlboros. They didn't have them anywhere, and
Yeah.
so
Some what?
and Carolyn wanted some
Marlboros.
ice cream.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
Sick.
so
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm down for exploring with people I don't know during the day. You know, at night it's a whole different story. Like, okay, I was walking with, I think it was Rain and Linda at one point, going down to the river, and we
Yeah.
went straight where we were supposed to like take the right and then go down the next way. So we walked past this group of locals, and I guess we weren't supposed to go this way because it wasn't safe or whatever. These fucking moron locals, they're like, no, 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 no. To a bunch of white people, it's like, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? And then they're like, don't go that way, like in Spanish, like come this way. And the guy's like beckoning to like a tiny alleyway, like this wide, to like come down here and cut across. But again, we're all kind of. This was right after a couple questionable incidents that happened, and we were all kind of like sketched out a little bit, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, no, we're gonna go around, buddy. Thanks a lot. It kind of shows like our mentality about the rest of the world as well. Like they were
Yeah.
seriously just trying to help us and shit. But it's still kind of scary when like somebody
Yeah,
he
it's
legit
just-
like straight like full what's it called, the
Ear to ear.
Tallahassee necktie or something. I can't remember. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it's called, but it's cutting of the throat. And yeah, it was just a little off-putting. But yeah, it just shows the mentality when you come from a different place and you have to deal with some.
Yeah, and like maybe a lot of that
unmentionable
suspicion
bullshit.
is.
It was time and place too, but
Yeah, and you know, like stuff happens, so
Mhm.
you're like a little on edge, and so yeah.
yeah, it was a mixture of things. But yeah, it's just different over there, right?
Yeah.
Just different. Okay, moving on from the Jeep, from the drug Jeep. So we were wandering past a bakery or something. The guy let us come in the one day. He's making all that bread for the village for the next day, and then obviously he'll sell it to people. It's kind of hot in here. Yeah, they're cooking fucking bread. So this was up the mountain at what was it called? It was Sanctuary, right? That's what they called it.
Yeah, I believe
Something
so,
about
yeah.
Sanctuary.
Yeah.
This was the lady that I was telling you where it got kind of emotional at one point, right?
Yeah.
She just kind of we had a little tour around like the higher parts of the mountain shit, then came back for lunch, and she just kind of gave us her story. And again, she's the lady who started running this all-female coffee plantation up in the mountains through through like backlash and stuff from like local cultural stigmas and stuff, where the men are supposed to be doing the big jobs and the women are supposed to be doing the pittance work and stuff like that, right? And yeah, I think it was just again the time, place, just being out in the sun all day. Like it really, like her just saying simple shit like, you know, value your own personal strength and know like if you have the confidence in doing something, you can do whatever you want or whatever you
Yeah.
want, sort of thing. And you know, thinking about the cannabis world and shit and like the bullshit that, you know, that industry's gone through for the last how many years, and I don't know, it just kind of hit home for me personally. But you know, that's very light compared to how some other people took it. Like all the girls were like, you know, tearing up and stuff, and
Of course.
yeah, it was nice. It was nice. Again, a cultural experience this whole trip.
Yeah,
And
and Julia was an amazing person. She
Yeah.
took in all these children after
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hurricane,
yeah.
and just her just perseverance and in putting the coffee association together, or the female coffee association, and then becoming president. Was
she's
pretty-
like president-elect or something right now, and they're working on getting that sorted.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just crazy. Like, I don't know. I didn't expect my reaction to be how my reaction was going up there, because it was a really good time. And then I don't know, it just got really emotional all of a sudden and hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When you're really quiet and sitting around and listening to this like really like wise older lady talk, and then everybody else starts getting it, then yeah, it just kind of happens, right?
We get it, Craig. You're a man. You don't cry.
It's true. I didn't cry. Thank you. So these are the banana bushels I was talking about. Your little flowers that come dangle down under these, right? Or are these upside down, Mike?
They're upside down.
Do the bananas hang?
Oh, there they hang.
No, they sit like that. They sit like that, right?
Those are plantains.
Either way. Don't the
But
plantains have the
they-
same flower or no?
I think it's similar.
Yeah. So, but you know what I'm saying? I think these are right way up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it like hangs down like this, no?
Like that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying the bananas point up.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the flower goes on the bottom. Little kitty.
Shut the fuck up. That's so cute.
Little nugget.
You should have seen this
Aw.
little puppy. There's this little puppy.
Oh, I think I did see a picture of it actually.
So this is us at the school. That was Carolyn's there. She like really led the group in. Well, her and Mel, because they could speak the language, right? Like, did some games with the kids and just like little activities. And then we all brought them bubbles and toys and shit. And like, yeah, the kids really enjoyed it. It was nice. It was cool to see. Just like they have a big passion fruit tree. No, it wasn't passion fruit. What was the tree sitting out back that they had the fruit from? Was it guava? Was it
Agave?
They
Guava.
gave it,
Guava.
guavas,
Oh,
and
agave,
they just like
not
hopped on the
fruit.
roof and started pulling these fruit off the tree.
And then Bill's like,
Yeah,
I remember he's like,
getting
oh,
worried.
you're gonna regret that.
There's a cock in a cage.
My dick in a box.
Just random squash hanging out over some piece of wall there. We were walking by. That was near the bananas. You remember?
Yep.
Compared to a water bottle, pretty large. You see squash everywhere, actually. What were some other things? They grew tomatoes. They grew squash. Bananas, obviously.
I wrote a bunch of them down.
Yeah.
Um,
Cocoa. We saw cocoa plants. We're getting into all this now, but a lot of like smaller they had little gardens on each of their properties. You know what I mean, just for their own productions. But like every property had their own like garden going and stuff. Instead of like here where you might see one in every 5-10 houses that has a garden. They should really push like a community garden or something there. I think that would benefit them a lot.
you know what I'd like to see too, like maybe the university they have like a small contingent of university students
Stay up there.
Yeah, with us or in another building. And we kinda get
That's what they were
together.
talking about
Yeah, that'd
last
be really
night.
sweet. Yeah.
Because we were put on with like, again, it was half of a safety thing as well as like a social integration thing. They had two, like, I guess was it through the university that Danny and what was his other name?
Yorkanis, yeah.
So they were employed through the university to kind of be our chaperones, but also kind of protect us from anything and tell us when if and when shit's going down, that we kind of gotta head back in or just whatever, just like they're the local pulse to kind of communicate back to us, right? Yesterday at the debrief, they were saying like one spot that they could improve on would be to get like legitimate students from the university to come up, and maybe at least one young student, and then maybe an ambassador, maybe like somebody older, to kind of bridge the gap instead of two young guys, right? Yeah. So there's a gap from like an elderly, not elderly, but an older, more seasoned like perspective of the culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't maybe be so integrated in the youngster scene, and then have somebody who's like a student at the school right now to be the second hand. So they're both there for the protection, the social integration, and stuff like that. And I think it would just be better than two like, mid-20s guys, when especially you and me and Dave were the three guys out of the 10 of us, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely more focus on the girls,
Yeah.
which I don't need fucking chaperones and shit at this point anyways. I can do a vacation on my own and just kind of follow Bill around. Like, I don't need that. It was good to have them there, but it did kind of like, they could have, if they want to make the most out of the trip, then yeah, there are a few areas that they can improve on just from an educational and like whole all around, like, how to really give us the full experience and get like, what am I trying to say? You know what I mean? From the elderly perspective and the younger perspective in relation to just having the two young guys there. Like, it was definitely, they were educated. They knew what they were talking about the coffee and stuff like that. But again, I feel like there was just, it would have been good to have more of a variety. Maybe even three people, 1, 2, 3. So a young girl, younger guy, and then somebody older, who maybe watches over those two and like tells them when they're doing a good job or if there's anywhere that they need to improve upon.
I would say even just a guy and a girl, doesn't matter ages or
No, it definitely doesn't matter the age thing, but I definitely think that you should have a difference.
I'm not that they're not at all that they're sexist.
No, well, they are.
But they are.
They are. There's no joking about it. They are very sexist. But that's the norm there.
Oh, I just lost my. Oh my gosh.
I
I just went for a so, and none of that came out.
But yeah, culturally, like, you could learn a lot from somebody who's who maybe knows people there from 20, 30 years ago, right? And then you have the younger generation to kind of integrate with the kids and stuff like that too.
Like your
Anyways.
tour guide.
Yeah, it was just the two, and then
Two
if
guys.
we would go to special places, then there would be another
Yeah,
couple people
sometimes
from
we
the
would-
university
yeah.
come up and stuff. This was one of the schools up on the mountain, one of the elementary schools. I don't think I got too far into that. I'm gonna speak honestly. I just didn't feel too comfortable taking a bunch of pictures of the kids and post them on the podcast.
Makes sense.
So yeah, we went to the school. We did some more activities with them during the day, and then pretty much every day we would come down to this watering hole after. It was a river that ran all the way down the mountain. All the locals clearly fucking used it all the time. El
Yeah.
Burro sitting over here, and a couple jump-in spots. They didn't want us jumping in.
Yeah, they didn't want
Safety
us
sake.
swimming up
Past,
further because
yeah.
apparently there's a
Whirlpool,
or
yeah.
something.
Oh no.
Do you remember what this was called?
Yeah, I have it written down.
Start
and
with
there's
an S?
apparently
The
like a
fuck?
fly too that has like kind of like a relationship with it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
to help
Milton was
pollinate
saying,
it. Yeah.
I believe.
Can you grab a jug of water, Sid? Thanks. It was like I described it as a mixture of a banana and a watermelon, flavor-wise.
Yeah, and the seed, like
The
when it
seed.
started to ripen, it totally smelled like apple vinegar.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it reminded
This
me
is the
of.
seed right here. When I first opened this, I thought it had a slug or something in it, but it was actually just a really hard
Sapato.
sapato. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it's a really hard, well-waxed seed coat that I think has to pass through something to get germinated. You know what I mean? Like I think it's one of those things.
I
that you-
remember like I remember Mel was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's probably like a maggot because it's like a vermiform." So I'm like, "It's probably like a fly or something like that."
Right.
And he's like, "We're not gonna get like an intestinal parasite or something like that." And then I asked Milton about it later, and I was like, "No, it's a
That's
fly
right.
that's got kind of like a
I
like
can't
a
remember. I was
relationship with
right
it.
there when you said it. Yeah, it was a specific fly that doesn't go to anything else, but it picks up the pollen off the flowers from that and will only go to, or it prefers that tree. So if there's an abundance of that tree around, then it's going to pollinate because it's just having a sapura party?
Sapato
Sapato party. Just gonna have a quick little bowl here. Sid's getting us some water. And then she's gonna come back. Yeah, this is kind of an educational thing for her too, in case she actually gets to do the trip. Oh shit! Bringing the whole
Hope you
ice
go.
tray
It's
out. It's good. It's just the money, right?
Yep.
Jug of water.
Is this not good enough for you?
Sure.
It's too ratchet. We don't have the jug has orange juice in it.
Oh, true.
So I brought ice and a bottle of water. Cause we're classy like that.
All right, moving right along. How far are we? Oh, there's the legend
you
himself.
allergic to cats or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
There's the legend
He doesn't
himself.
bite.
So this is Milton. He works at the university.
Oh my god! I thought you were talking about Cheeto.
Cheeto,
I was
no.
like, are you
Cheeto's
making a bad joke right now?
Cheeto's a
That's
legend
Cheeto.
too. He's like the main man when it comes to all the agriculture and plant studies at the school,
Yeah, he was doing a
at
lot
the
of cool
Dominican school.
ecological agriculture stuff.
He could have talked for fucking days though.
Yeah.
He did not stop talking. It
And he
was
kept
so
on-
hot.
He
Yeah, one
kept
more,
on trying
one
to
more.
Yeah, he kept on trying to get us to go up into the.
Oh,
and
the
remember he thought we
waterfall.
could all fit in the back of the
The
truck.
tiny truck. Yeah, yeah. I have a
I
picture.
would have actually not minded
There.
to.
Look
have a
how
little bit
close
more
we
of a
are,
hike.
bro. Look how close we are to that other truck. There's points because the roads are so narrow at some points going up this mountain that it looks like, well, somebody's just not going to get to where they're going right now. But you just pull off into the bush, off the road entirely, and you just kind of skate on by. Like, this doesn't really do it justice, but less than a foot between us.
Do you want cups too, or are you just gonna drink out of this?
What? I've got a cup, but maybe Mike wants a cup.
Do you want it?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
You good?
Appreciate
You want some?
it.
You're
On
up
cam.
your face. It went up his nose. I literally heard him just go.
Macadamia nuts?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that seemed to be
It looks
kind of
like a
like an
mini
area of
avocado.
opportunity for
Oh,
them too.
man.
That Milton was kind of, he was like, like this could be really good if they got it before I guess the rats get it when it falls on the
Right,
ground or
yeah, the
whatever.
rats were the only things that
And
that
so he
get
was
to it or
trying
some
to
shit.
figure out a way for that to. And then the star fruit.
Star
too.
fruit,
Oh, it was
yeah,
so good.
yeah,
Just like
yeah.
picking it off the tree You know, like something you'd normally buy in the store.
For like $7 a
Yeah.
pop. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a close up of the star fruit. Cocoa?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. What else did they have? Just mushroom picture there. I didn't see too many mushrooms. That's actually.
Oh, you
legit
should have seen
stuff.
this spider. Milton kind of, I guess, scared it away, but it just ended up going on a leaf. But it was like this big
Oh fuck.
on the leaf.
Oh, I remember you talking about that.
And
I
it looked
missed
like
that,
one of
yeah.
those ones. I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't touch that. 'cause it
Yeah,
might
I don't
want to
go.
me.
This had like little red dots on it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna get my
Yeah,
picture
that was a
and
cool
go.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool looking spider.
And I'll just refer back another mimosa looking plant.
Yeah, and there's a passion.
Oh well, didn't he say he brought that shit in and it just took over?
Oh yeah,
the whole
I forget what
Dominican
the heck it was called.
Republic.
Yeah, they brought it in for fodder, timber. I mean, it sounded like a good idea on paper, but just like poor execution in terms of the government.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, and just how it spreads,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, that was like I kind of apologize. I remember talking and Sarah sent me a message, and I was like, yeah, I apologize for my Western naivete about the government. I mean, our government screws the pooch on, to use the vernacular,
sure.
on certain things, but like I guess my sense is there's a lot more corruption, and the government just doesn't show.
Well,
they just kind of throw money at stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can pay off the cops if you really needed to there. So.
Well, it was like the one really connected guy. So yeah.
So this here is flower passiflora, passion fruit flower.
Yeah.
That shit that I tried to get growing all summer and wouldn't take. Yeah, they just have it growing willy-nilly everywhere.
Yeah.
Grows really nice fruit. They look like oranges, kind of.
It's okay. A couple years, Canada will be pretty tropical. I'm sure.
More kitties.
Oh, the big one's so pretty. I've never seen one that close.
She's a mama. Just a truck full of limes.
You know.
Just in the city or in the village.
You know how it is.
Yeah. Oh, we got video. So we went up to my pictures and stuff are a little bit out of order. We went up to the big dam.
Yeah.
The second last day, got some really nice pictures and stuff. I just threw some portulaca
It's so
on.
high. Why not?
Whee! Bye bye bye. Oh, I can see it. It's right there. See it. Gone. My phone's going bonkers right now.
That's a nice picture.
Yeah, this is the dam again.
You have like 3 so far that I'm really stunned by.
There's one of the big bugs. That one was dead.
Not about it. Ew. Ew, it looks like a fucking June
It's a
bug
scarab.
on steroids.
It's a scarab.
It's like one of those.
And finally, we found real mimosa. Give me the water, please.
See that? Just a little. As if I was gonna read your fucking mind. Never again, sir. Never again.
Yeah.
Okay, my jug of water back.
What jug?
My bottle of water. Happy that it was resourceful like that. I could have came back with nothing. Could have came back with my hands full of water and just been like, here, drink.
I would have drank it.
Drink, bitch.
Mimosa.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, moving on.
Stop touching me!
Yeah, for real. Fuck off. Oh, there's one, Sydney. How's that?
Just FYI, he might jump up behind you. Don't be alarmed. That's really fucking
Don't
nice.
freak out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Or if he likes
So this is the watering hole again.
Hang out
This is
with
where
both
we
of you.
go and swim, just down here. The river runs through here and then collects and goes way the fuck down there.
And then remember they just
The
they
pig?
just butchered.
Yeah, there was like a big pile of just straight pig
Pig.
skin leather.
Yeah, just
Nothing else. No meat, no flesh. Every day we would walk past the butcher and there'd be like pig parts or cow parts or whatever hanging up there, right? But then we went down to the water for a swim one day with the vegan, and we're all like, Sarah, don't look this way.
You
Don't
away.
look this
Look
way. And
away.
it was literally just like the pig flesh, just like no, not even carcass at this point. Everything else was gone. It was just the flesh.
Yeah.
Just the skin.
I think
They're
they were
just
like
drying it, yeah.
out so they can make leather out
Yeah.
of it or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, so poor
Making
girl.
footballs.
Like, oh my.
Just on the side of the road. This is the road right here. That foot, that's the road.
What's the What's the plant again?
Monstera.
Monstera deliciosa.
I have that on my shirt, and I should know.
Yeah,
this.
you're wearing it right now. That's fucking amazing. Fuck, are you grabbing the beer?
I need to buy one of those shirts. I need to get more like
I want
I
more
love
Hawaiian shit.
plant shirts like
Yeah.
those. Like the people call
Melissa's
them like
got sweet shirts.
the whole those Hawaiian dad shirts that are really lame with all
Is
the
it Melissa or
vibrant
Melanie? I
and all
always
the
get confused.
colors and, like, it's Melissa.
Is it
No,
Melissa?
it's Melanie.
Melanie.
Melanie?
That we went on the trip with.
Mel.
Melissa.
Melissa, okay.
Melissa.
I'm
Melissa
pretty sure
Drake.
I've called her both.
I
Melissa
think
Drake.
I
Melanie
heard
and
someone call
Melissa.
her. I think I heard someone call her Melanie one time though.
It's probably me.
Probably.
Yeah. It's probably me. Here we go.
Little bug.
That's insane.
I really like her hand tats.
I really like her hand tattoos.
Oh, he's spiky.
Yeah, Sarah was pretty cool.
He has so many spikes on his legs. He's like stabbing me when he walks. Is this like a tropical cicada? What the hell is this? Another scarab. Scarab. Yeah, with the antenna. I think his wing is fucked. Linda, if you piss him off, that's definitely scarab. Like you.
There's our ride again.
Everyone
More
that
coffee
fucking
beans.
had Ento last year just geeking
Oh,
out.
yo, I should send that to Dave.
Yeah, you
for
should.
sure. Yeah.
He would love that.
This was funny. Just a
Oh,
random
yeah, the
light
light
switch.
switch,
I was
yeah.
making jokes that like this turns off the internet in the whole city. You know what I mean? Like, plenty of lizards
Yeah,
all
that's
over
probably
the
why
place.
why the power went off in the middle of the night. Just like,
Every
flipped the
yeah,
switch.
yeah, every night.
Some idiot tourist was just like,
So,
huh, I wonder what this does.
in the
and just,
morning,
like, shut
every
everyone
night,
down.
or sorry, in the morning every night. It's 4:20 by the way. The power would go
Right
out. Yeah, the power would go out about 3
now?
a.m.
Oh, he's it.
because I would know because I'd be up for the fucking roosters. And then it would turn on about 5, 6 a.m. Then it would turn off around noon until you get home at night again. Then you had internet till you went to, or like power to charge your phone and shit till you went to bed roughly. And then every room had the fan plugged into the wall, right? So your fan gets turned off too about 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So you have to be in a deep fucking sleep by then, or it's going to start to get a little cooking.
Had to plug in your phone right away.
Yeah, just a couple things they have to get used to sleep-wise. That was, like, my biggest thing, just the roosters and stuff. Like, even with earplugs, I think just because I had one of the outside walls, I don't know, maybe I'm just making this shit up, but I fucking heard those roosters every morning. I caught a lot of good Netflix in that time, and, you know, had some time to myself to, you know, reflect and, like, meditate on the next day. But I could have used the fucking sleep, too. By the end of it, I was just like, the last couple of days, I was waking up just being like, fuck this rooster! It's like, I need to kill this thing. Like, it needs to die. And then the last day, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm already up like 5 seconds before the rooster because I'm ready for it now.
And me being the good roommate I am, knowing this, I had a party that night that he came home.
Nice.
Just so he couldn't sleep.
I think I did, though. I slept for a while, then I got up, and
He
I had
didn't
Red Dead,
join
so...
the party.
Well, no, I was...
No doubt. No blame.
No. So this is the Friday when we were supposed to have... This was hours after that we were already supposed to be, like, hanging out, just chilling before the bus back down to
You look shredded.
Santo Domingo. Yeah, that's what not eating for a week will do.
Fuck.
But the fucking welder took his sweet-ass time. We were waiting up here for at least 2 hours
Oh yeah,
for
and then
this
they
guy.
had us move everything.
Then we had to move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
after-
this
'cause
was
Bill-
after
Bill
we
was
moved
like-
everything.
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
Bill
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think we can do this down there. They're like, there's no power, and then
Oh,
I think there was just
so
a
funny.
breakdown of communication. And
Yeah,
then,
well, Pablo was not impressed. Moving on. And then just cool plants. Stromanthi on the street. I have some Stromanthi growing in the corner there right now. Not looking half as good as that one. This is a dual color Stromanthi or whatever. Mine's a tricolor, so I have the red and shit going in mine.
nice.
But, like, look how healthy that looks. That's so nice. So nice. It's, again, just the plants that you see growing on the side of the road here compared to El Burro.
Donkey.
What an ass.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I couldn't.
He's so cute.
And Do you remember what this was
Eggplant.
called? Yeah, eggplant. The aubergine, right? That was the name of the
Aubergine.
restaurant. So
Oh yeah, that was
we
really.
were heading down the mountain.
That's
We
the
were with-
best name of
We were with the
restaurant.
German girl, right? And there just happened to be a German run
Yeah.
and German themed
I was just
restaurant
about to
on
say
the mountain.
Aubergines are German.
Yes. This is where we saw the variegated monstera, which I'm pretty sure was actually just a pothos. Remember going all the way up that tree, the giant,
Yeah.
there was the monstera there, but I think, because apparently pothos will get the Swiss cheese thing going on too and really highlight. So I read. But we'll just call it monstera for now.
So the Monstera thing's a highlight thing. The Swiss, what?
Yeah.
Told you.
For the, did you?
Yes.
True.
You were like, why doesn't mine have holes, or why isn't mine white? I don't have
White. Oh yeah,
I
the
don't have
fucking
the-
you can get
those
full
are
white
variety,
ones.
yeah, yeah.
You can get pink ones
but
too.
the cheese part, you're like, why doesn't mine have holes?
Hey,
And I was like,
hey.
It needs highlight, and then you're like, oh, it's full spectrum. It has the highest light possible.
My newest leaf on my monstera does have the Swiss cheese thing going on. How's yours going?
Actually, it's just come back to life.
Oh,
It's
what did
doing
you
much
do?
better.
What did you do
I
with
gave it water.
You gave it to
You
gave it to Craig?
No.
Yeah, I think you did. And then Craig gave it water. I know it's a fucking big task to give plants water, but I did it, and now it's coming back. So pat on the back for me after I chopped off that second leaf. Moving on, aubergine. And another couple cool shots. Just because they had so many cool plants there. They had a poinsettia just growing out of the ground.
Oh yeah.
They had a bunch of cacti, a bunch of aloe veras. What else cool did they have there? Maybe I got a picture of it. Is it really?
Nice
No.
picture.
Schefflera coming out of the
Schefflera.
jungle.
Oh yeah, I have a schefflera in the.
Yeah, but this one was like,
Bring that in
it
here.
was like canopy. It was like a tree like coming out of a gorge.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
So this is the last night back. This was like 4 a.m. No
Yeah.
rooster. I just had to get up for some water and shit. And
there was cult music though.
I guess that's what it was. It was 2 a.m. Yeah. Oh no, because we got our flight at 4, right?
Yeah,
Didn't we
it
get
was super early.
Yeah, so this was me. I think I was the first up going for some water, and he was just passed the fuck out at his security desk. And I was just like, I got a picture of this. This is too good to be true. And these guys were really nice and everything, too. Really accommodating. Every morning that we were there, for the first few mornings when we were in San Cristobal, they would cook us, like, breakfast. They'd make us, like, special grilled cheeses and stuff. It wasn't anything super fancy, a lot of fresh fruit,
was
but
good,
it was
though.
just, like, yeah, they were
It's nice.
really accommodating. It was good. And that's it, gang. That's the end of the fucking slideshow. That's going back. Can't see as much of a curve there.
So some days it's straight.
Some days the earth is flat. Some days the earth is
That's a new
flat. Okay.
conspiracy theory.
Okay. I feel you. Just like this is sometimes floppy and sometimes not so
Oh my
floppy.
god, don't. You're actually gonna fucking convince some people.
Nobody listens to this shit. Come on, let's be honest here. Okay, I just want to wrap things up with a couple weed things. I'm just going to go down the list here. Afria, they're working on, I won't call them breath strips because it's going to make your breath smell like shit. But they're the thin strips, oral THC,
Just a
CBD
different way to
strips
consume it.
for 2019. Last podcast, I talked about this company called Nano Spectrum, Nanotech or something coming into the cannabis industry. And it's basically like Nano and Delta 9 are coming together. So like a nicotine patch,
Oh,
but
interesting.
THC, CBD,
Yeah.
shit like that.
That's cool.
I'll give it a go. Oxley Cannabis is the new company that's going to be coming out next year working on edibles, strictly edibles. They're not going to be selling flour, oil, any of that shit, just the final product.
Yeah.
Oxley edibles.
I might. I think I probably took too much of a cookie, but like I probably should have just had half a cookie because I had like complete couch lock.
Do you know what the dosage
I'm not
was?
so sure it was a
That's fine.
85 milligrams.
Yeah, that's
That's
you know,
enough.
yep, that's a decent amount, man. It's with edibles, it's not like smoking, right? You need to start
And then
slow.
but it is like smoking in the way that with some people, like with me, like a toke will knock me on my ass, but I can have like 1,000 milligrams and I won't feel any. Like I don't know, I've had like 200 milligrams now and I haven't felt a thing, but with like my other friend, like she'll have like 50 milligrams and
The
it's like
tolerance
couch
thing.
lock, like
Yep.
25 milligrams.
Yeah, see, my
couch
tolerance
lock.
is probably
Like,
pretty low. Yeah.
That's good
Even-
though. That's not a
But
bad
like,
thing.
even 85, like that's like
That's
normal.
that's
I would say.
financially
That's decent.
responsible.
Yeah,
That's what that
that
is.
exactly. But like some people like 25, knock you on your fucking ass.
When I was in Guelph, I made like this killer batch of brownies, and I had a bunch of friends over, and we were all like dosing up on the brownies, no problem. One of my friends isn't a user at all. Like he, anytime he smokes, he does not have a good time, and I guess he just wanted to try the brownies and see what that would be like, right? Big mistake. Because he was doing the same amount that the rest of us were having, maybe a little less, but because he has a zero tolerance, and these things were decent, you know, like I pride myself in my edible making abilities, relatively speaking. He was over at my house 20 minutes conscious, and that was it. Then he just fell asleep on the couch and just like pale faced, like as white as this ice tray, like, oh, what have I done to my friend? But then it's like, you know what? He's a big boy. He knows what weed does to him.
Yeah, that's
When your
it.
liver gets involved, the party fucking changes. You know what I mean? It's not the same shit. Like it it amps up the THC to like.
Well, it's just like having a rough night drinking. You know, you have one too many shots, you're blackout, you're couch lock, you're vomit up. It's like just like greening. Like you can overdo the edibles and you pass the fuck out.
Mhm.
It's not like you go and do dumb shit like when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Like when you drink too much.
But at least you don't, like,
But-
there's no risk of you.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, there's no alcohol
OD.
poisoning that gets
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah, all that's
Like,
gonna happen is
you know how
you're
many
gonna
times,
feel
like
sick
in
and go
high
to sleep.
school, I did some dumb shit, and I was like fucking 3 a.m. and me and my friends are sitting there contemplating if we have to go tell one of our parents that we are fucked up, and one of us might have to go to the hospital because we have alcohol poisoning.
True.
But we're all just sitting there like, am I dying or am I just
Yeah,
really
you're
drunk?
really
Because
sussing
we're
it
just
out,
like
eh?
13-year-old
Oh
girls
my
just
god,
like
Jesus
the
Christ.
first time you're
Kids
drinking alcohol,
today,
like,
eh?
you don't know how much gets you drunk. Like
Yeah.
you could probably just have 1 or 2 coolers for the first time and you'd be drunk. But no, we downed a fucking liter of sourpuss.
Yeah.
I so many times.
I've
I
had bad
thought I
nights
had
when I was
alcohol.
younger on booze too.
One
like-
time, I
Yeah,
swear to God, I had alcohol poisoning.
and you
one
survived.
I survived it.
What doesn't kill you makes you
I
stronger.
just kept drinking slowly. I literally eased my way down. Like I was so stupid. I was just like, my friend was just like, you know what cures a hangover? Just get drunk the next day.
Yeah,
So, like,
here
Murder
we go.
your liver.
Yeah, so you just keep doing that, but me like not realizing like this might just be not just a really bad hangover. Like you're
Yeah.
pretty sick right now.
Oh, hey, what's
I'm
up,
like,
buddy?
Yeah, keep drinking. You're at
What's
school.
up, Nugget?
Put it in juice box. Keep drinking.
Oh my god.
I did it. Fucking. It was Halloween weekend. I partied Friday night, Saturday night. Got the alcohol poisoning, probably from the combination of Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday kept drinking. Monday at school, I was like, I think I'm dying.
Cheeto, get out of the way. You're blocking Sydney. Come here. Come to me, you little cheese toe.
Just sit him on your lap like I had him.
Moving right along, the government of Canada said medical users would not be affected by recreational cannabis sales. Well, it's clear that was a dirty bullshit lie now because medical users across the country are suffering. I saw a video, should have saved it for the podcast, of a woman in Ottawa, I believe, who has like MS, multiple sclerosis, and needs her medicine, like is properly prescribed by a legitimate, not cannabis doctor to use cannabis on the daily, and she can't get it from anybody. Because the LPs and shit are even out now. She can't order it from her LPs because there's no weed in the country. So how long till this microcultivation thing really takes off, honestly? Because
Well, it's like there's
Cheeto, here. No.
like there were far less restrictions, I think, initially with the micro grows
It's
and
not yours. This
nurseries.
is yours.
oh right, because now they've separated the two licenses,
And now it
right?
seems like I don't know. I mean, I guess you could grow a decent amount of high quality stuff in 200 square meters, but
Yeah, that's your flowering space
Yeah.
too, right? So you could have a shitload of plants on reserve in the. I have the license.
in your vegetation stage.
So what do you need? It's 200. I got this from the Cannabis Expo. It's 200.
Square meters of flower.
Here, nursery.
50, I believe.
I don't even have it here. Micro. It doesn't say. It just says same activities. It's standard. I thought I had this information here. I'm sure I
Like Bill was talking about it at the that cannabis.
It's 50 to
business thing.
200. You're right.
Yeah.
50, I think, is your flowering, isn't it?
No, 50 is if you're a
Is
nursery.
a nursery. Okay, so
50
square
meters of flower. If you're a micro cultivator, 200 square meters.
I
of
thought
flower.
micro was you only applied for your vegetative license, and then you had to apply for a flowering license when it came down to micro.
Yeah, It's like nursery is kind of like a different.
So you can have
segment.
flowering plants in a nursery as well as a micro. That makes things very interesting. 'Cause
Yeah,
you can apply for both. You can apply for a nursery license, and so you can flower in a nursery license.
I mean, yeah, I think so. I would talk to Bill, but it's like one or the other. And then he was also talking to another student about, if you want wanting to
Cover this.
Cultivate any variety of cannabis, produce seeds and seedlings, including clones. That's
So no
that's
flower.
that's your nursery license.
Yeah.
Micro is same activities as standard cultivation license, but on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
So that's your whole. You
Yeah.
get to grow it to flower, and then the nursery is only for selling shit out. So you could have both.
Okay.
You could even do a full scale and then micro scale and a nursery scale. I think I guess a lot of the LPs are going to have to start applying for nursery licenses if they're going to be selling out their seeds and clones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently right now.
Well, LPs are like a totally different animal.
He wants
Are they?
up.
Yeah. Speaking of animals.
He wants up.
I had a
Yeah,
really
they
good point.
can
Fuck.
do a lot of stuff in house that
I thought they weren't because seeds and clones are different than flower, right? Like
Yeah.
the sales license is only for flower and processed flower, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they might have to apply for. What I'm getting at is right now cultivation is technically considered illegal still in Canada for the following reasons. The only place that you're supposed to be allowed to get your clones, seeds, cuttings, shit like that are from licensed producers who haven't started selling that shit yet. I was Googling around during class a couple of days ago, and I found something called Ask Herb or something. It's through Leafly, I believe, and it's just like a weed kind of questionnaire thing, kind of like Ask Abby or whatever it was back in the day, right?
Yeah.
But this is all cannabis-based. And one thing was like I found a seed in my legally purchased cannabis. Can you get him away from the camera?
I'm watching. to see
I
if
found
it's
a seed in my legally purchased cannabis. Can I germinate it and grow it, right? And as far as this guy was concerned, like as he's going through like the legislation of like what you're allowed to grow and shit, it seems like that's a loophole. Like if you find a seed in your legal bud that you can start it. Because there's no legislation saying that you need to buy specific.
So if you obtained seeds on the internet, that would be illegal?
Illegal, yes. Yes, because they're not coming from a reputable source.
How the heck would they enforce that? Like if you do your 4-plant limit, how the hell?
Well, that's what
are
they're
they
saying
gonna
right
know?
now, that if
Yeah.
they find you with plants, then they'll be like, where'd you get the fucking clones or seeds from, bro?
Yeah.
Because shit wasn't... if you have like a plant that's clearly... I mean, the cops aren't going to know what a 2-month compared to a 4-month compared to a 2-week plant is going to look like, right? But if you have a huge, massive plant, you haven't started that thing since October 17th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an acrobat. I just thought that was really interesting, and I want to bring it up on the podcast, that if you did find seeds in your legal weed, it seems that there's a little bit of a loophole there that you can get an early start on the rest of us. I said earlier, I had my germination video. I did 4 seeds. They all germed successfully. I planted them, and then it turns out that they're illegal still because they weren't seeds from... They were the seeds from my plant that had, stressed out and pollinated itself, right? So I had a bunch of seeds going. And apparently...
and careful because that stress is hereditary too.
Oh yeah, they're not going to be feminized anymore. I understand that, and my understanding as far as feminized plants that have become stressed to the point of seeds is that they have a higher chance of becoming hermaphrodite than female, and that they're mostly just like I've been saying on the podcast for the last couple of things. If anybody wants seeds, just practice germination. I'm your fucking guy because I have literally a Tic Tac case full of fucking Blue Dream unfeminized seeds now, just from whatever happened. Yeah, it's nice for practice and stuff, but I have a bunch of feminized seeds too. It's just like if those were my only seeds, it would suck to plant them and then all of a sudden have a bunch of shitty weed on my hands.
So the personal grow.
Personal grow 4
yeah,
limit, one household.
the 4 limit per household. You can't just obtain your own seed. You got to get it from LP.
Yeah. That's like because it's all through the government. The government's trying to get their fucking money's worth out of everything.
Pound of flesh.
Exactly. Even if it's $5 out of a pack of seeds, like they still want it. And I think they just want to see that everybody is staying in check. They want to see that everybody's playing their weed game versus playing my own weed game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you have to play
But-
Canada's weed game now if you want to be legit.
Yeah, but like I was talking, I think in Dara's class, he was talking about. I guess they haven't shut down a lot of these other licenses. They're still going.
Dispensaries or
No, like some of the old licenses. That,
the MMAPR and stuff.
Yeah.
The MMPR. Yeah, anything like that gets grandfathered in, which is really fucking sketchy.
Yeah, because
'Cause-
you have like people that are.
And it was before that was the access to cannabis law,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So there's still like people like that are operating and trying to. I wonder if there's some kind of educational board within the cannabis industry for the older generations to update them, or if it's just a matter of showing up to work and hearing it through the grapevine that you're not
Yeah.
allowed to use pesticides anymore and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, I will speak first-handedly that I've tried to talk to people. Nice jump, Cheeto. I've tried to talk to like the higher ups about like there was while I was working at Tweed, there was a new legislation about a certain pesticide that wasn't allowed to be used anymore.
Yeah.
And I tried to bring it up to one of my heads, and they were just like, it was one of those very vanilla, basic answers just to kind of get me off his back of like these things change all the time that we just can't keep track of them, and there's really no point in discussing it now because there's chances that it's gonna be brought back in a couple days. And it's like, okay, whatever, fine. And I don't know, it just kind of goes full circle back to the whole thing of like it shows who's in this game for the money and who actually really will stop and talk to you about this shit, because it's so cool that we are literally in our generation's gold rush, and there's people who are going to take advantage of this shit till the day is done, and they're going to make a pretty penny off that. But then there's also people who want to make a lifetime out of this, and the money will eventually come.
Yeah.
And I think the I don't know, it proof's already in the pudding where the people who are trying to cut corners and put out crappy quality. If
Yeah.
you look on Twitter and you search hashtag OCS, you don't see too many positives about the fucking quality coming out of the OCS.
Yeah.
Some of the dispensaries, some of the LPs are putting out good quality, but when it comes into the money to quality ratio, like people really are not happy. What was it, $13 grams on there? I've barely looked at the OCS site. I got my guy, and I have a full harvest at my disposal right now. It's like I really don't need to throw the government any fucking money until they get this shit right. And the whole
Yeah.
privatization thing's coming in a few months. Like, why would I spend any money at the OCS when they are literally just trying to make a fucking dollar off the new alcohol game that's, before us, the new anti-prohibition thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give it to somebody who really fucking knows what they're doing and has the passion and the product. I don't know. It's an interesting time right now.
It'd be nice if it was just like a fucking tomato and you could just grow your 4 tomatoes.
We're gonna get there. I think eventually. I think in more time. How many times am I gonna say?
I think.
In more time than it's gonna take for psilocybin to be legal, that cannabis will become more like vegetative crop that you can just grow in the whole 4 plant thing. I think that'll eventually go, and once the government relinquishes so much of their grip and the microcultivation has more of a hold on things, I think the government will be like, all right, you guys can do whatever the fuck you want. We tried this. We got a little bit of money out of it. Now this isn't so much our game anymore. Now this is more like, if you want to grow your own, you do your thing, and the pros will do their thing, But right now, yeah, it's just the spectacle and the novelty of we are the first established country to like allow people to kind of have the cannabis freedom.
Got a question for you. Have you ever
Oh, God.
tried water curing?
Water curing?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, apparently you take distilled water
Okay.
and you submerse your weed
Mhm.
in that.
What?
Yeah, and it apparently makes it really smooth, but it doesn't smell that much.
Okay.
But it'd be nice to
curing.
try like a small bowl.
I'll find me
Just
a
like a
video.
small jar.
You put it in it and then take it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
and
and you
then dry
constantly
it.
like get one of those big things of distilled water, like those. I don't know.
Yeah.
You get a deposit for it, and then just you like every day change the water. And the one guy I was watching, he was measuring dissolved solids
Mhm.
until they were almost zero, but he didn't like it was one of those YouTube videos where they didn't actually like he showed it. He actually used a dehydrator, dried it out, but which you're not really supposed to.
I was
do.
gonna say you don't want to dry it out too fast.
But yeah, I don't know. I might give it a try.
I will check that out and maybe find some videos for the next podcast.
And the other thing I want to do is sun butter, which is I guess use a pressure cooker.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they have
I've heard about that.
Care. Care just bought. It's a legit pressure cooker specifically made for canna
For
butter.
extracting it, yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
so it
magic
is it called the Magic Butter?
magic butter.
Magic Butter. We were at the Cannabis Expo, and just so
Nice.
happened we were there at the right time when a guy was doing a big display. She won like $120 worth of stuff.
Yeah, I got
Grinder
like a
and a nice
$60
little
grinder
board
and then,
and-
like a $100 tray.
$160 grinder. What is it?
No, the
No,
whole package
oh,
was
okay.
around $160, but the
I
grinder
got-
alone was like
it was-
$100 or
Grinder
something,
was
yeah.
like $60, but it was customized. Had like a customized print on it, and then the tray was $90, and then I got a
Nice.
the
Dehumidifier?
packer.
The
pack.
Oh, Humipack. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
keeps the moisture,
Yeah, when you're curing your weed, you like
Yeah.
throw it in there. It's the shit you put in like
keeps it from getting too dry,
Yeah.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the
the moisture
dehumidifier,
packet.
like
a
just
moisture packet.
fucking, because I've put like a harvest worth of weed in a room
Just to
before with
see.
a dehumidifier, and it turns into fucking like straw and dust. You don't get any smell. The chlorophyll's gone. It
Even if
smokes
you're-
like shit.
even if you're like maintaining the like you're keeping it at the proper.
Well, that's with a
humidity level?
dehumidifier, like it'll just.
Oh, you're talking
soak
about
it.
one that's just.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. So the humidor pack, whatever, like that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. So
I
like.
accidentally ripped one of those open one time, and it is just like goo on the inside.
Huh.
It's like it's almost like a liquid latex or something. It's clear, but it's like, yeah, it's just holds moisture really well. What were you
Interesting.
gonna say? Sorry.
I don't
It happens.
remember.
I
It
have
happens.
a point.
It happens.
Care used to make her weed
'Cause I
butter
actually have.
out of the pressure cooker.
Yeah, I have.
She knows how to do that.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
How many
pressure
minutes?
cooker?
High pressure.
Talk to her.
Maybe not the pressure cooker. Might have been a slow cooker.
Yeah, I've heard slow cooker. I've also heard I read a couple articles.
Nah, maybe it
Yeah,
was
I
slow
remember.
cooker.
It might have been because she said she like put it outside and like just let it go.
Huh.
Okay, that probably was a slow cooker.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool, like, again, people are trying to monopolize on any angle that they can without actually getting into the industry. So, like, the culinary industry is huge right now because you can make all these little fucking tweaks to, say, literally just said it, the slow cooker or the pressure cooker or any little shit like that. You have that induction burner. It's just a plug into the wall, and you can set the temperature on it specifically, like
Yeah.
120, whatever you need for decarboxylation and stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll just anything where it's
Yeah.
that precise is key for like cannabis, where it's a chemistry, right? Where you add a couple more degrees and that shit's fried and you can't use it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Or a little too low and you don't activate it and you've wasted your time. I've had full batches of butter and stuff that just come out like as yellow as this pH meter, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll give that a try. Yeah, no, I'm sober as a judge right now because
Comes out yellow.
well, because all you've done is pull out the pigment from the plant, and not even all of it, so it doesn't even get green. It gets like a really sub-yellowy, nasty green tinge, like it looks like it's dying or something. Yeah, no, the culinary industry. I thought I read something about Niagara College culinary and cannabis coming up. No,
Oh, yeah.
it was a Toronto edibles site. I thought they had mentioned Niagara College, maybe just because they're one of the accredited colleges around for teaching culinary, but I feel like Bill's talked about it already before too, just the prospect of combining the cannabis with the culinary industry.
Yeah, making edibles.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, because some people don't like to smoke. Like my neighbor,
That's-
he does
that's
not
the
like,
thing.
He
It's
likes
a huge
edibles.
thing.
Yeah.
it's well they're
It makes
talking
it- the more ways you can consume it, the better,
For the
right?
older
well when you have the
generations, like,
patch, you have the tongue thing and the edibles, like these guys actually are saying like this is literally the real or the second wave of legalization, but really it is the real wave of legalization. Right now we're in pre-legalization where the flower's cool, the plant's cool, like we're working on the stigma, but come edibles, that's when the real fucking party starts. Like you have to worry about so much more when the edibles come into play when it comes to kids, when you have gummy bears and Sour Patch Kids that will
Yeah.
get you high, chocolate and shit, how do you market that stuff like safely to adults and not to kids? You can't. Oh no.
Oh no.
My camera is so hot, guys, that it's not even sticking to the tape anymore. That's too
Oh.
funny. It's fine. It's been through much worse.
It's gone.
Luckily, I think this one's still rolling. We are approaching 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty fucking sweet.
Nice.
Where was I going with that? What was I talking about? Edibles, and then the camera fell. Oh yeah, kids. Like that's the big issue on like a lot of people who give a shit's mind right now, and a lot of like big investors are worried about like, because that is the one big obstacle now that shit's kind of legal.
Well,
and
yeah, I think what you do is you put it in like a liquor cabinet. It's just like it's down to the responsibility of the
right,
parents.
right. I agree, but just to be a devil's advocate here, when you have something that looks like fucking gummy bears, there is the risk of, say, I don't know,
Yeah.
mommy and daddy have put fucking Charlie to bed for the night, and they pull
yeah.
out the bowl of gummy bears. Charlie sneaks down when mommy and daddy aren't paying attention.
but
Oh, fucking
that's-
candy!
Yeah,
That's just like a kid coming down. You
To
know how many-
booze?
you know
Yeah,
how
I
many
guess that's
kids
true.
come down and just see a glass of wine
Feel how
in the
warm that
fridge,
is.
smell it, and they're like,
Use
"Oh,
it as a
it's
hand warmer."
juice." You know how many siblings have just gotten drunk because they, for breakfast, they'll drink the wine left over out of
Not
the fridge?
me. Yeah, true, but
I've literally had kids just go to sleepovers and had to been like, "Okay, guess she's not going to school today." Like, someone call the mom.
That's
like,
funny.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. I remember my brother got into my mother's iron pills because they looked like
Oh
Smarties.
fuck, yo!
So my brother almost croaked.
I have done that actually.
Yeah.
Much younger, my cousin from Ireland came over, and he had pills. You said it looks like Smarties, right?
Yeah.
This one looked like exactly like a yellow Skittle, like had the same shape and
Yeah.
everything, and it was fucking sugared on the outside. So when I put it in my mouth, it was sweet, and I thought it was candy. My cousin saw me put it in my mouth and just instinctively, like, perfect cuff on the back of the head, and just like out of a fucking cartoon, pops straight out of my mouth before I chewed it or anything, like the whole pill. You know what I mean? He just hit me in the right spot, and like, again, apologized to my mom right away and told her what happened. Like, he ate my pill. Like, that was not good for him. Need to get it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's fine. Give me a little smack to save my life or whatever. That's fine. Another time, I remember I was super young. I had fucking these Beanie Baby things. The same cousin. I was being a little shit. I smacked him in the nads with this Beanie Baby. And instinctively, because I hit him in such a fucking bad spot, he gave me a straight good wallop, like in front of my parents, and he was just like, "I'm sorry, that really hurt," and I just couldn't control myself. Like, I smacked him. Like, I was probably like 7, 8 years old, so I didn't know what I was doing, and rightfully so. That if I had hurt him that bad, that instinctively, a little smack here, I was fine, but like it was in front of my parents, so he had to be like, "Oh shit, I just smacked the kid in front of the mom and dad." I don't know what happened to Sydney.
Yeah, I don't know where she went.
I think she got a phone call from her mom or something.
Oh, gotcha.
So 2 men have been charged, ages 47 and 54, from Clearview Township, Ontario, possession of cannabis for purpose of distributing 14.7 kilograms of dry cannabis for purpose of distributing. You just said that, Craig. Selling and cultivation of illegal cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Nearly 30 pounds of fucking weed. You can't grow that since October 17th. You know what I mean? So that's a clear indication that they were not playing our game. My fucking camera, I swear to God. They also had 16,000 unmarked cigarettes, so they're still playing that game too.
Yeah.
So they're probably
That's
going to jail for a
huge
while.
Game still.
They're probably going to jail for quite some time. 3 men have also been injured following home explosion after attempts to manufacture concentrates with butane, Whitby, Ontario. This has been an ongoing thing for the last few years, right, with the butane.
Yeah.
And go fuck yourself. It just seems like dummies being
Can you turn
dummies.
this down a bit?
Down again?
Yeah.
Am I too close to the mic?
I have a headache, so that could be it, but you could also be too close to the mic. I don't know.
Your mic is so far down right now.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm
Oh.
saying your headset is very low right now.
I
It's
think
not a big
I
deal.
think
You
it's
don't even
just
have to
'cause I
have the
a
headset on.
headache.
Like I keep the headset on so I know everything's going through the
I
computer
just keep
properly.
it on so I can hear you can hear me because I do this a lot.
True.
So this way I can tell.
So yeah, people still fucking around with weed where they shouldn't be. The whole butane extraction thing just seems like so unsafe to me. I've seen them do it where you get like the clear glass plastic tube filled with weed, and then you just like spray butane into it, and then
Yeah.
it'll drip out the
Well,
bottom.
even the alcohol extraction is somewhat dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. If you're not in a well ventilated area.
See, is it the ventilation that's the biggest issue, or is it like literally
it's just-
working around open flames and cigarettes
Well,
and
it's
stuff
just,
like that?
Well, no, it's this stuff's highly flammable, right?
yeah.
So you
But
get a
wouldn't it need it?
spark.
Where would the spark come from?
Could come from anywhere. It's highly volatile.
Oh
Like, you
yeah, I guess
just
that's
have-
true.
Yeah,
Sparks can literally come.
yeah
from
so
anything.
that's why like
that
they
right there can be
recommend-
making a spark, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Your PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess anything.
So like
any
butter
electrical boards.
is like a
Because
much
like
safer
the
way to
CD
extract.
going around in the PlayStation.
Sure.
That could probably
Well, yeah, just
create
electrical
teeny
current in
tiny
general, right?
little
That's probably
spark.
enough if it's volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't understand for sure. I thought because we went one of the first years with us last year said he like did a lot of mushroom cultivation, like psilocybin mushroom cultivation, and I guess for part of that he isopropyls the inside of his container out, but he was smoking when he fucking did it. So the fumes of the ISO caught, and he like burned off half the hair of his hands. So you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Came to school with like big burns and stuff on his hands. Just like, yeah, I blew myself up doing mushrooms. And it's like, cool, bro. He's not at school anymore. There's always going to be these people. Like, there's people who still make moonshine and stuff in their basements and blow themselves up with that too, right? So,
Or they don't take the there's like the first of it that comes out is methyl,
yeah,
and it's highly toxic,
mhm.
makes you go blind.
Really? And they drink that
Yeah,
to get some
and, well, like,
moonshine?
if
that's
you
where
don't know
you
what
hear
you're
that
doing,
moonshine
yeah.
makes you blind from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because if you don't,
okay.
if you take that, if you don't do it right, and you take that first little bit, it's not good for you.
Mhm.
Interesting.
The OCS claims that their orders are all back on track. Somebody that we went on the trip with, who will remain nameless, ordered, I believe, the night we got back and got theirs the Monday. So maybe OCS is back on track. So that was
Yeah.
the October 27th. They made an order and it showed up on the 29th. From what I know, it's a bigger issue at the distribution facility, where, say, if I make a single order of a half quarter of Aurora, you make the same order of a half quarter from Aurora, but then you go to Broken Coast and get another half quarter, you're going to be waiting for both your bags of weed while my single order from Aurora shows up, because yours has to go together.
Yeah.
They're not going to ship things separately. And
Okay.
that's where a lot of the the backlogging's coming from, as well as they're not giving staffing numbers, so we don't know how many people are effectively, going to the Aurora shelf, grabbing Broken Coast shelf, and putting things together. It could be one person for all we know. It's
it's a bit
probably not,
logistical.
right? But like, they should be more open with their numbers if their numbers are legit, which
Yeah.
makes me think they're hella understaffed. I think they've started sending out applications for OCS retail shops, which is another possibility down the road. Nobody else is going to have the education besides the black market compared to Niagara College students right now. So government-run job ain't a bad gig.
Yeah.
At a weed store, government-run dispensary,
well.
basically. Oh, it would pay great. Yeah, you'd have benefits.
Yeah, you
and,
have great benefits.
Just all these other avenues to think about. And the last thing that I have in my book, I think, for this podcast, Guelph, Ontario is planning, or they're working on putting a vote together to ban entire public consumption of cannabis, which I don't think is going to fly because they are heavily a university town. I know the university for years has been doing under the table, under the covers research on cannabis in the boroughs of their research departments, and just in general, like, Guelph is known as kind of like the hippie, free growing, like, what am I trying to say?
There's still all that stigma, like, seriously.
Sure,
and it's,
but like for
so
somewhere
silly.
where so many young people are going
Yeah.
every year, it doesn't seem like a really what am I trying to say? It doesn't seem like it's gonna fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was fucking sweet, guys. I don't know if you guys have anything else to drop, but we are just hitting 2:07 right now, and this was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Thanks.
If you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to wrap it up here. Michael, thank
Okay.
you very
Yeah,
much.
Thank you.
We'll have to get another one in soon. Sydney,
you.
always a pleasure.
Sid.
And, yeah, I think this is it, guys.
All right, cool.
Cancast 12 in the books. Till next time, thank you very much. Bye-bye.